I think I'm live and I just look like an idiot, but it's okay. And we
We're
are
live.
live. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Political Zoo. I am Drew, your host, and tonight we have a few topics to talk on. We're going to be talking about authoritarianism through finances and decentralization through finances and all the topics that go in between that debate, as well as government overreach, COVID and the pandemic. You're going to want to stick around and have a lot to talk about. First things first, I'd like to mention for those of you who love the Political Zoo and want to support, we now have a Patreon, patreon.com/politicalzoo. Feel free to head on by if you wish to support the channel. If you have no money that you want to throw around to support, that's completely fine. We love people that come by and watch anyway, but if you want to throw us a little bit extra, we have tiers going from $1 to $100. So if you want to throw some money our way and support the channel, as well as get into our Patreon exclusive Discord, you're going to want to head over to patreon.com/politicalzoo. Tonight, I am joined by a new guest. I have the host of Truly Uncensored and Politishock frequent, Truly. Thank you for coming on tonight. I really appreciate it.
Hey, thanks, Drew. I am absolutely thrilled to be here, and I'm ready to get down to some serious political talk with you. I want to see how crazy the zoo can get.
Oh, the zoo can go off the rails. We got all kinds of animals here. First
Perfect.
things first, let's start off with something that gets us aggravated, and then let's go into something that makes us happy. So, starting with aggravation, government overreach. A bill that's being passed around and definitely considered is the IRS wants to be able to look into the bank accounts and transaction list of anyone who has $600 in an American bank account or makes purchases of $600 or more. Do you think that this violates our constitutional freedoms? And just what is your general opinion on that?
First off, I forgot to ask before the show, am I allowed to cuss on this show?
Yeah, not too bad, but like
Okay,
we, we,
because
we
I
can we can
I'll,
go.
I'll keep it down.
Yeah.
That definitely takes away
Mhm.
somebody's freedoms and rights and privacy. You're going in and you're like, oh, well, you use this, you use that. Who gives them the right? They have no right to be doing that.
Mhm.
None.
The guise in which it's being passed is that they want to make sure that millionaires and billionaires are paying their fair share and they're not laundering money. So they're going to monitor any transaction or any account with $600 or more in it. I personally believe that bar is a little too low to be snipping the wings of the rich. What do you think on that?
Oh, definitely. That is more for people that are on disability. That's more
Hmm.
for the people that work a part time job. If you want to go set the bar higher at like maybe 500,000 or more, if you want to do it that way, that's fine. But sitting here going in and making sure these people are doing what they're supposed to be doing and not laundering this money. What are you going to launder money with $600? I mean, come on.
Exactly. And if you're going to be a millionaire and make a bunch of different accounts, number one, American accounts, and number two, like accounts with $600 or less, so $599. Let's do a quick math calculation here. So if you had $1 million, right,
Right.
and you want to launder that money to, whatever, either do something illegal, shady, or avoid taxes. So 1 million divided by 599, you're going to need over 1,670 bank accounts all throughout the United States. 1 billion would then be multiply that by 10. You would need over 16,000 bank accounts to be able to circumvent this, making it so that way this bar is entirely too low. No one's going to open up that many bank accounts under different names, different pretenses, go to different banks and open it up in order to hide their wealth and be able to keep themselves from being audited by the IRS.
It's ridiculous. Sad that it's even coming down to that. And you're right. Who is going to want to make all those fake bank accounts? I'm not going to want to go from bank to bank to bank to bank to bank. It's
And
a
that's only
waste
the
of
super
time.
rich. Yeah, that's only
Right.
super rich and if you're cool with not being looked at. But $600 bank account minimum wage is
Ugh.
quickly approaching, I would say, around $500 a week. A little under that, around like $400, depending on your state, obviously. But I'm in Massachusetts, and I've said that multiple times on the show before. Our minimum wage is getting closer and closer to $15 an hour, which puts it just shy of $500 a week. If you save up your money well on a full-time minimum wage job, your bank account will then be subject to audit and searching by the IRS.
Yep.
Why do they need to look into the bank accounts of those who are at that ground level? If it truly is about making sure the rich are paying their fair share and not doing anything crazy with their money, that bar shouldn't be as low as it is.
Honestly, like we have said in Truly Uncensored before, um,
Hmm.
when they're doing stuff like this, first off, it started with the mask, then it started off with it's a mandate shot. Now it's starting off with this. How we felt about over there when we've talked about it on shows before is we feel that they're prepping us for something bigger. They want to make sure that we're relying on the government to take care of us. The government, if they know that they take care of us, I know you guys can't see me, but I'm air quoting. They can be our like sugar daddy type thing.
Hmm.
Like they're going to be our supplier. They're going to be the ones to take care of us and we're going to need them. And they're running out of options because people are waking up and seeing what's really going on.
Right. It's a lot of the policies that come forward that are under the guise of public health or the guise of other things. Obviously, everything's going to need a moral justification to go through Congress. They can't just pass a bill to say just because we feel like it and we want to see our citizens' bank accounts. It has to go under a moral guise, and it reminds me of a analogy I heard growing up a lot, especially when I was getting into Alex Jones around mid high school and throughout college. Um, Back when the slaves were freed in America, there were a lot of plantations that then offered the slaves housing on the property. It was called sharecropping. And they would do everything under the guise of you can leave at any time. But they made it essentially so that way, if any of them wanted to leave, they wouldn't be equipped to go out and get a house, get a job, and do what they got to do. And there's obviously other factors like racism involved, especially in the era that slaves were freed. But it's an allegory of we're going from this freedom that's promised to, hey, if you just shelve some of those freedoms, we'll take care of you. And then we're docile and we're not there and we just fall apart, and then our complete sense of individuality have been taken away and we're not able to be ourselves. We can only be what the government tells us to be.
100% spot on with that. And I truly believe that this is what they want. So if Joe Biden wants to go look at bank accounts, I mean, is he going to release his bank statements to us? I think that's only fair. If you're going to go be nosy and have the IRS get into the smaller people's bank accounts,
Mhm.
why don't you start releasing those bank statements? You wanted those tax statements from Trump when he was in office. Why don't you give us your bank statements? Why don't you release that? How do we know you and Hunter aren't laundering money or you and Kamala aren't laundering the money?
And it is, and that's a perfect example too, because so the IRS is the government. Essentially, the government is going to be mandating people's accounts that have more than $600. Do you think anybody within the government that is doing any of the illegal actions they're setting this policy forward to stop are going to ever get stopped by the IRS? Absolutely not.
Absolutely not.
Absolutely not. Unless the IRS doesn't like them or the government doesn't like them, which we did see that with Trump, because like people within the government would fight hard against people that go against the grain. But even then, you're going to have people come in and they're going to do whatever they want because they're the ones in charge. And it's like the people in charge are sending other people that are in charge to make sure everyone's bank accounts are good. No one's going to then turn around and bite their superiors about spending millions of dollars overseas or doing something interesting with their bank account to where figures don't line up. The IRS is only going to be beating down the middle class and the lower class. They're not going to go after the rich that have influence. You know what I mean? Like
Right.
maybe like rich people who are like separate or like huge business owners, it's gonna maybe hit after. I'd love to see Jeff Bezos's wings clipped. Um, but it's not going to affect people who are pulling the strings and making decisions on behalf of Americans and how the free world operates.
Absolutely. I agree with 100% on that.
Hmm.
And I always tell everybody, and everybody thinks I'm so crazy when I tell them, but I've been telling them, like Dan's been telling people what was going to happen all along. And I was like, it's going to start coming down to this. You know, I know this is a little bit from the topic, but when they want to start, now they want to start, they're working on putting those chips in your arm with your bank account.
Hmm. Yep.
So they're like, what are they going to make us do? Oh, could you please just scan here while we scan your arm for all your tax files and all your
Yep.
bank records? Who's going to do that? Who?
And as a Christian, that is some end times mark of the beast,
Yes,
absolutely no stuff that will definitely get enough of an uproar. Um,
absolutely.
do you think that, say, this law goes into effect and you have a lot of contractors, middle class people that are then getting audited and investigated? Do you think that there's going to be any kind of conflict that's going to arise with this? Any kind of physical altercations? Do you think an IRS agent is going to get either shot or aimed at? There's going to be some kind of issue. Do you think this could cause some kind of physical reaction?
I honestly, like, again, we said this on Truly Uncensored too. We feel like
Mhm.
this could cause a civil war. This could
Mhm.
cause something that's going to be bigger because people are overstepping where they shouldn't be in the first place. And like we have also mentioned, we don't work for the government works for us. So they're
That's right.
overstepping their boundaries with everything right now as they're coming in and doing all this. So again, like you just said, it's a Christian thing. You're not putting that chip in me. You're not putting a chip in my forehead.
Mhm.
First off, I'm not a dog.
Yeah.
Secondly,
Yeah.
I'm not a cyborg because you want to put it in my head. The fact of the matter comes down to it is God told us this was going to happen. And I'm a firm believer that God is with us throughout this whole entire
Mhm.
adventure that we're going on right now. And I
Yeah.
also do believe that if it comes down to that, I know that we're going to be safe. But back to the question, sorry, I got a little bit off there. But back to the
No, it's
question,
alright.
I do feel there is going to be a civil war. Um,
Mhm.
and we're seeing it in other countries already where they're fighting back. And America is starting to wake up and they're starting to step back. And honestly, I'm proud of these guys for stepping up and fighting for their rights. And I believe this is going to be the tip of the iceberg that completely gets it going because people are going to be like, you don't need to know my business. You don't need to know what's in that bank account. And like I said earlier, show me your bank records, we'll talk. Biden, Harris, and all of you other great people that are out there wanting to
Mhm.
know everybody's personal information that's never been asked for in how many years?
Right, which especially that we should be seeing the personal information of the people who are running our country. Um, you know how any stock or business investments have to be public knowledge of all Congress people, and you can see that there's blatant insider trading going on where I've said this a couple times on my show. I have a friend who made his down payment on his house based entirely on money he made from the stock market by investing in the same companies Nancy Pelosi invests in. I definitely do believe there should be some more transparency going forward. The question is, how much transparency can we ask for until it becomes a issue of national security? Where do you think that line should be drawn?
They should have been drawn a long time ago.
Mhm. Yeah,
They've
I believe
crossed
it should have
they've
been. Yeah.
crossed a lot of lines, even when Obama was in office, so, all the way
Hmm.
back to Bush. I mean, they're crossing a lot of lines,
20 years
and
ago, 9/11 happened with the Patriot Act and the NDAA was signed shortly after. Do you think it's time for the acts like that to either be modified or taken out entirely?
Oh, um, it, it's 20 years, but here at the same
Mhm.
time, I feel like this country is going to have something and they're going to put something even bigger into place. So if we modify it or take it out, they're going to find something bigger to replace it with. It's going to be something bigger that they're going to put in there for the next time. The Patriot Act, when they did that, they still haven't even done a lot of the stuff from the Patriot Act. You know that, right? Like the real IDs, and they keep pushing that back. It's been 20
Mhm.
years, and they're the Patriot Act by 2011, you have to have a real ID. By 2013, you have to have a real ID. Now we're almost in 2023. Now you have to have a real ID. And they keep throwing the stuff that they put into place with all that, and they keep pushing it back. So I think what's going to happen is I feel it's going to make something bigger if they take it away or modify it. They're going to make a bigger deal out of something. They're going to make something bigger happen, and they're going to put more restrictions. I don't feel like this country is ever going to go back to the way it ever was.
Uh, a really bleak prediction, but one that I definitely feel has some merit unless we come together and just do it, just make our old country work again, then it's not going to happen. We have to civil disobedience. You know what I mean? I'm never going to advocate for violence. And the political zoo and every show on the VOP never
Right.
advocates for violence, political or otherwise. I'm saying through civil disobedience of just protesting through non-compliance, not to the point of endangering someone, but hey, everyone should wear a mask. Why? We took all the vaccines and everything doesn't work. Why? And
Mhm.
focusing on businesses that do and don't follow those mask mandates. If local businesses can be pressured to let restrictions go, then eventually the big guys are going to follow suit.
Absolutely.
It all starts, yeah, it's all economics.
Mhm. And that's where a lot of people are scared, though. I was
Hmm.
a part of some groups on Facebook. I'm not going to name them because Facebook doesn't need to know what groups they need to take down, or
That's right.
they just need to leave them alone. But they were
Hmm.
against the mandate. And they were saying how scared they were, even as small businesses, because the government threatened fines. They threatened to shut them down. They threatened to sue them. They threatened everything,
Hmm.
everything on them. All for what?
Now, to
For
throw in a
what?
devil's advocate argument here, part of public health is that you are going to have to sacrifice some sort of personal liberty to ensure that a virus doesn't wipe us out. It's the same thing with the tragedy of the commons. I'm not sure if you understand what that is. I'm just going to explain it for the audience in case no one knows. The tragedy of the commons is when the example is, so say you go fishing every day in a lake and there's 20 fish, and every day the population of the lake doubles, right? So you go in there, you catch 10 fish, you go home. The next day, those 10 fish then make 10 more fish, and now you have 20. So you have a self sustaining lake. Then you have people that are coming in every day, and say your population grows. So that way, everyone who fishes in that lake takes 5 fish, and now there's 3 people taking 5 fish a day. So 15 fish get taken, 5 fish. So it becomes 8, 9 the next day, right?
Mhm.
Actually, no, sorry, 10. It comes 10 the next day,
You were asking
and
me
then
to
it
do
gets
math.
cut down, and it yeah. So I'm just saying that we cut down our own resources then to the point where once they're depleted, we don't have them anymore. But we have to have a staggered way of getting these resources so that way we're not draining our supply. And it's the same way kind of with a pandemic is waiting for a short time, quote, quote, under these conditions good for the long run of we can go back to normal, even though people are having doubts that it ever is going to go back to normal. Do you think that there should be a definitive line that public health should be able to not cross? Or do you think that in case of something so severe, we are going to have to completely strip rights to make sure everyone can live? What's more important, society living or democracy in society?
You know, I've never really thought about it that way because I've always sat there and I've always preached freedom, freedom of
Hmm.
choice, freedom of this, freedom of that. And then you sit there and then you put it that way and you're like, okay, well, now though, I seen on the news that there's barges all over the United States at the ocean lines. They can't even get supplies here.
That's right.
The truckers are going on strike
Hmm.
because it's being mandated, and that's a slippery slope for me because I feel like it's the person's free choice. And
Yes.
but I really don't want to see a shortage for anybody else, especially the people that need it. And then they're like, well, there's one way to solve that. I prayed about this for a long time,
Hmm.
and I just know that this is not the right thing for me. And when you know what's in it and everything, it kinda there's your slippery slope, you know? You're
Hmm.
like, "Okay, do I give the people the distribution of their stuff, or do we take freedom and go for the democracy and have everything the way it's supposed to go?" You know? We are never going back to normal. I know that 100% the way this is
Hmm.
going, um, because even if they say, "Oh, you have to get this in order to do this." But how many people went out and did it and they're still in mask? How
Oh
many
yeah.
people catching
It's
catching it, dying from it? How many?
the most vaccinated population per capita is the most infected with variants of COVID. It's in Israel. And Zach from last week brought that up, implying that these vaccines are playing a hand into these variants. Now, how could that be? They're COVID fighting variants. Well, I mean, excuse me, COVID fighting vaccines. Well, it's the same principle of if you don't take all of your medication that the doctor prescribes. You know how when you get sick and a doctor says take all of your antibiotics, don't take them until you're feeling better? Because when you stop taking a dosage when you feel better, there's still a little bit of that disease still in your body. So then it's going to interact with these antibiotics and other methods of getting it out, and it will adapt to that, making super viruses, advanced diseases, things of that nature. And looking at Israel's example, it's pretty fair to point out these vaccines are causing these variants because these vaccines don't stop you from getting COVID.
Yep. So, now if I could ask you a quick question then.
Sure.
So, do you think the democracy is important or do you think the supply is still important? How would you feel, how do you feel about that? Do you feel that the democracy is enough to keep going? Because the way I see it right now, though, if you don't have this, you can't even go to the grocery store, you can't go to the movies, you can't go to
Hmm.
concerts, you can't do anything. So, I mean, they're already taking that away, and then they put the supply of demand on you, and then all you really have is your democracy left, right?
Yes. And it's one of those things where there's no clear cut black and white answer. It has to be something in the middle. It's a balance. Where is personal security in relation to freedom and democracy in your perspective? And everyone has a different view on that. There are people I know who would rather have security than freedom. There are people I know that would rather live in a government mandated pod because then they won't have to worry about anything. But then I have people who are saying I don't want to be governed by someone else or essentially have my life ruled by people I don't know, I don't vote for. So you have this weird riff where you can't really say one or the other extreme is exactly where to go. Because in my opinion, yeah, freedom in a society is great, but if society dies out, there's no society to have freedom in. There's no point in choosing that. But I don't want a totalitarian regime. So there has to be a
Absolutely.
balance struck in between. You can't choose from one to the other. you have to be able to figure it out and draw lines. And that's where these lines that keep our individuality are starting to get eroded and eroded and eroded down to the point of it becomes an authoritarian regime.
Yeah. And I kind of feel like everybody has said now this kind of feels like China. We're kind of heading
Mhm.
that direction. And it is starting to feel like that. This is not the freedom. My grandfather fought in World War II. He died
Wow.
shortly after he left the war.
Mhm.
And this is not what he was fighting for. I can already tell you this wasn't it. He was fighting for the freedom for everybody. And to have that narrow line, there's no freedom at that line.
Have you seen what's going on with Australia right now?
I have
Australia is a
seen a little
pretty
bit.
it's
Yes.
a pretty grave um foreshadowing, I would say. If not foreshadowing, it's a way of telling us what could happen if we don't start to take our own responsibility for our own freedoms. Australia is I saw a news article today saying if you get all of your vaccines, you're able to go on certain counties and cities in Australia. If you have all your vaccines, if you get your booster shot, all your vaccines, and wear a mask, you're going to be allowed 1 hour of outside of your home recreational time.
Oh, goody.
Now, I don't know
1
about you.
hour. 1
Mhm,
hour.
one
Woohoo.
whole hour. Now, I don't
Wow.
know about you, but I feel like if we ever got to the point where the government is saying you can't go outside of your home to someone else's house when all of you guys are vaccinated, everyone's safe and distance, I feel like that would cause a lot of problems more than we would think. But on the flip side, and what's really unfortunate is a lot of people like to talk a big game, but a lot of people at the end of the day are LARPing. A lot of people at the end of the day talk a big thing. I'm not going to let the government do that. And then the government does it, and people don't want to get into an armed conflict because armed conflict's scary. I'm not going to discredit them. Do you think that we're going to have enough people that are willing to stand up and say no? Or do you think that a lot of people are just going to comply but grumble about it because they feel like at least in the end, someone else will save them? You know what I mean? I feel like that's probably one of our biggest problems right now in our country is that people are on this track of, oh, someone else will do it. It doesn't have to be me. And then it gets to a point where no, it has to be you. It has to be somebody. And if it's not you, who? And not enough people don't ask those questions.
I
You know what I'm talking about?
absolutely feel we are going to have enough because even the vaccinated that didn't want to do this, that were mandated to do this to keep their jobs, to keep their insurance, to
Mhm.
keep food on their table, to keep a roof over their families' heads. They didn't want to do this to begin with. They did it because they were forced or they lost their jobs. And I honestly
Mhm.
feel they are going to be the ones that are going to be sitting there joining up with the rest and they are going to go all in. I truly believe that. I've seen a lot of people, like you said, they could be all talk too. They could be all talk,
Oh, yeah.
but I can almost guarantee you that a lot of them are not playing around anymore. Done.
Mhm.
They're at that point where one more mandate happens, one more lockdown happens, they're going to go nuts. They're gonna go absolutely
Well,
nuts.
11 hours ago, a fairly new article, up to half of Chicago police officers could be put on unpaid leave over vaccine dispute. A lot of on the ground workers are very much against these vaccine mandates, and there are a lot of mandates coming out that are saying they're going to have to be fired or laid off without pay. So, do you think that that could play into it? Do you think this will form into something more of a worker strike, kind of like a pseudo socialist revolution? Do you think that if there is an armed conflict, armed rebellion over COVID mandates, do you think that socialism will follow? Because a lot of people are going to hype this up as the workers revolting, but a lot of socialists, and I'm not saying all socialists, but there's a lot of socialists that fully comply with the government on this. Do you think there's going to be a weird conflicting ideology coming out of this, or maybe something entirely new?
I'm not really sure. I feel that there's gonna a lot you're gonna see a lot of people standing forward.
Mhm.
Um, Socialist, eh. Um, you got to remember that a lot of the socialists, though, they like to hide behind their keyboard. That's what they're best at,
Mhm.
is behind the keyboard talking that big game. I see a lot of it. And, but this could get very, very interesting. I am seeing more and more and more police, EMTs, hospitals, everybody throwing it in,
Mhm.
going on their protesting, doing their thing. And honestly, if I could just say this, I am absolutely proud of them and I thank them for their
Mhm.
service because they're standing up for what a lot of people couldn't do. But as far as the socialists come in, I I wouldn't worry. I'm not worried about that part as much as because to me this is what it's going to feel like to me. And this might be a weird ideology for you, but BLM
Mhm.
versus the non-vaccinated. it's it's going to be kind of like that, where they're like talking their big game, but now the ones that are sitting there really focused on what they're doing, it's going to come back and it's going to be, I think it's going to be a really big deal, unfortunately. And sadly, I do think it could people. I do. I'm not so sure about the
Really?
socialism part though. Oh yeah, I absolutely believe that because people are getting mad.
Oh,
People
yeah,
have been
and I
locked in their homes
yeah.
for what, 20 months? Is
Yeah,
that what it is?
it's been a while. And in certain areas, it is getting a little more relaxed, but in, like you said, in other areas, especially among people who have to be super cautious, they haven't been able to go out, and I would like to see it completely go and COVID be a memory, but, it's still in the forefront of everyone's thought process. I have to wear a mask for work. Granted, though, it is like the only time I wear a mask. Only very certain places require me to wear a mask when I go out to get food or I go out to go hang out with friends. I'm usually not wearing a mask. I'm usually not having to think about that. Even as someone who is unvaccinated, it's not something where people are coming up to me saying like, "Hey, you mind putting a mask on? Present your vaccination cards." Um, I do think it's going to get there eventually, but certain places, and I had a friend bring it up, if a cafe or a restaurant asks for your vaccination card, um, I do believe that is against HIPAA. You can't just be asking people their medical history and recommendations in order for them to, not recommendations, excuse me, conditions in order for them to be able to go
Right.
into their restaurant. And now I know there's a difference between a medical condition and say something like a peanut allergy, which is technically a medical condition that you can ask, but it's not something to the point of, hey, did you take this shot? And then, it's a lot of the problems don't come from legal, it comes from societal, to where the people who really pull the strings, the people who are really in charge, are then manipulating other people to then attack their neighbor for not drinking the Kool-Aid or buying into it.
Right. So again, we're hitting another slippery slope with that
Hmm.
because I've seen that now Joe Biden, good old Sniffy Joe is what
Hmm.
I call him,
Yeah.
has made it to where this is not a HIPAA thing. This is you comply with me or you lose everything. He doesn't
Hmm.
care that that people do consider this HIPAA because this is a medical thing. He doesn't care about that. So people are like, okay, is this HIPAA? Is this against the law? Is this not against the law? What is going on? So many people are going back and forth with this right now. And it is frustrating because, okay, well, don't ask for my medical records, but they're saying it's a vaccine card. It's not a medical record that they're asking for. So
Yeah,
isn't
which
that the
was
same
this
thing?
kind of, yeah, it's asking if you've undergone a treatment, which shouldn't be a requirement to be able to go into anywhere. No one's asking you to have, like, no one's asking diabetics for proof of insulin purchase to be able to go into a restaurant.
Hmm.
You know what I mean? Was this a problem during the Spanish flu? Do you know? Because a lot of people equate this to the Spanish flu around 100 years ago, and part of that is, I've seen, people post pictures on Reddit of people's like, "Oh, get your vaccines." Like, "Oh, we should listen to the people back then." Blah, blah, blah. I don't think this was that big of an issue back then. You know what I mean?
I was actually just talking to somebody about this, and she was
Hmm.
telling me that it came from Spain and all the soldiers that were over there got it, and then obviously they came back, but they were trying to force them at that time too, but honestly, it didn't go the way that they wanted it to go, and
Yeah.
she
There's a lot
said
more
that
trust in the government back then too. A
yeah,
lot more
yeah.
trust in the government, a lot less. I mean, there were still malicious people in power, but not to the, I believe, the extent that we have now. And the internet really kind of exacerbates how much power these people can have over us.
Question is though, is how long did it take for that vaccine to come out? As opposed to 6
Hmm.
months of COVID. "Oh, here, we got the cure. Okay, so you're gonna get blood clots, you could die, you could have a stroke, you could
Yeah,
have a heart attack,
yeah.
you could go
Reproductive
cross-eyed watching a
issues,
movie, reproductive
miscarriages.
issues."
Yeah.
Exactly. Just
Hmm.
a list. "Oh, okay, hold on. Hold on, I gotta go get my flip-flops right now because while you're doing the show, Drew, I'm gonna run out and go get my vaccine because that sounds like something I wanna do."
Yeah,
High
exactly.
proteins, hold on, just
That's right.
the show
Hmm.
the show will go on, and I'll come back, and I'll be vaccinated, and I'll turn my camera on and show you that I got my card.
Right. Thank you. I appreciate that. It's going to make me
Eh,
safe over this online connection we have. I don't want to
th
get
that
COVID through the microphone.
that's what I thought too, I'm trying to be courteous. I was gonna put on a
Hmm.
mask, and I was like, "No, I'm 6 feet away."
Thank you.
So when you
That's
hear
right.
that, how ridiculous does that sound to you?
Hmm.
How
It's
ridiculous did all of
free.
that just sound for me running out to go get that vaccine after I know
Hmm.
what the side effects could be? Enlarged hearts too, don't forget that. It's
Hmm.
enlarging hearts in kids.
I've
And
heard a little bit about that. Any news that's against COVID vaccines or against mandate is usually getting shelved in silence. Europe is actually undergoing a lot of unrest because of these mandates, because of these vaccines, and they're making it so that way, like, the people are going to the streets and not going to work, and it's not going to be talked about in the U.S. because the people in charge don't want us to think we can do that. 2 days ago, Italy is bracing for unrest after a COVID pass becomes mandatory for everyone who has to go to work. If you're working in Italy, you need to have a vaccination card, a COVID pass card. To which, if that happens in the US, that's going to be insane. But if the US can see, hey, look, it's happening over there and they're not putting up with that shit, we're then not going to put up with that shit. So it's tough because there's a lot of media out there that's anti like COVID restrictions, and there's a lot of people who want to treat this a lot less hostile, but we can't because no one knows about it.
absolutely, and when they that's one thing that, you've probably heard Dan talk about on the shows, is how these countries are not afraid to stand up, and America's been the last
Mhm.
one to stand up. It's like we're in this little corner, and we're like, "We're gonna go hide over here because we're scared right now."
I do
And
believe it's because of our like size and just like our media is so different than other countries' media, like news wise and everything.
absolutely,
You know what I'm
and
saying? Yeah,
that's
it's mhm.
that's the number one source you should not be listening to at this point.
Yeah, it's sensationalism. It's brought to the point where we're all just, everyone's has to be scared because fear sells. Everyone's gonna want to. No one's gonna want to watch the news if it's good out. Everyone wants to watch the news when it's bad out, when it's scary, so they can know when it's good or have like this reaction. And it's a lot different overseas to the point of that in like Italy and France, people are starting to rally and come together. And we're not going to have that kind of unity here because our media keeps us divided.
So I'm actually proud of Italy for standing up and taking charge on that. It takes bravery. It takes what they know is going to take their freedoms. And they're going to fight. And that's what we all
Hmm.
have to do. But again, so that's just like me going out saying, "Oh, okay, well, here, Dan, here's my vaccination card. Now, can I work at the radio station?"
Yeah, exactly. Can
It's,
I like go and do everything?
I mean, do I need to send you a copy? Do I need to do this?
No.
How do I get on the radio station? Because I feel like I have to be fully vaccinated to do that. And that's not how it's supposed to go. I know people that are terrified of this, and I completely
I'm one of
understand.
them. I'm
It's
dreading the
yes,
day when someone comes up to my group at work and says, "Listen, you guys have to get the vaccine by the end of the month, or you're quitting." And it's like I'm sitting here like I need a job. I have to pay rent. I have like, I have to feed myself. I have to be able to pay electric and internet. Like I have responsibilities, and I'm not going to put this thing in my body to keep living in this society. I'm not going to be pressured in that way. But it is a real fear that at any time I can just get a notice, hey, at the end of the month you're losing your job, you know?
And when they do that, a lot of people are saying,
Hmm.
well, this is when we go and we protest, we go on strike, we sue. There's a lot of lawsuits, especially over here on the West Coast. A lot of people have been doing
Oh,
lawsuits
really?
with this. Oh, yes. Police officers, EMTs, nurses, school district workers, they're taking the court because they said enough is enough. And so they were asking, like, on these sites, what do you do if your employer fires you? Now, I do want to point this out real quick before I go any further with that.
Hmm.
Medical exemption and religious exemption. It could get approved, but fired 3 days later for no reason. And they
For like
can't do
any
anything about it.
another reason that they can come up with.
Yep. They
One
can
of those
fire.
like disingenuous, yeah.
Hmm.
They'll look up something to fire you over.
Absolutely. And that's what they're doing over here. And it's going to where doing that and,
Hmm.
"Oh, well, we got fired, now what do we do?" And lawyers are like, "That's
Yeah,
against your right. You had that freedom,
yeah,
and now lawyers are stepping in for people
that's
and
right.
doing that." So if they come up and they say something like that to you, say, "Cool, I got a lawsuit coming for you." And
That's
I would
right.
go
And
get
it
you a
has to be
lawyer.
something exactly. It has to be something you do yourself as well. I'm looking through these news article here. No unemployment checks, at least in Maine. No unemployment checks for not mental, excuse me, for just health workers who refuse the vaccine. Even these people who are exercising their right. And I understand, hey, your rights say you can't get this vaccine. It's all supposed to be temporary. So hey, like, just wait it out until we're done. Here's, government assistance until you're back on your feet, like they did at the beginning of this pandemic. It's now to a point where those people aren't getting it. So it's either comply or essentially die. Not going to be the ones to pull the trigger, but the government's going to be the one to let you fail. You know what I mean?
And if the government's gonna do that, can you please put 599.99 in my bank account and mind your own business?
That's
Thank
right. Yeah.
you.
Yeah. Only keep
Thank
599.
you.
Everything else in cash in your mattress.
Exactly, because
Hmm.
I always thought my parents and other people that would tell me stuff like that, "When to do that?" And, like, even teachers in high school and stuff, I was like, "Y'all are crazy. Nothing like that is ever gonna happen." And now you just kinda wanna get it in the mattress, you wanna get it in a safe,
Yeah.
you wanna keep it wherever you can because now you can't even trust the bank.
That's right. Yeah, banks are never trusted. Yeah, like the only reason I keep my money in the bank is cuz one time I talked to my mom about it when I was a kid, and I asked like, "What, why don't we put our money in the wall or in a mattress?" My mom says, "Well, a house fire and you now have lost everything you own, like completely everything. Like no backup. If someone knows where that is and steals from you, like it's direct, you know what I mean? Like there is some kind of insurance with the bank, so I keep it there for now. But yeah, it's one of those things where it's kind of like with Google accounts where you need a Google account to do anything. You need an email
Yep.
account to do everything. Every single cyber account is keeping tabs and data on you. It is unbelievably easy for these companies just to know everything about you, um, have facial recognition on you, just be able to know your habits, what you do when, and it's all under the guise of convenience and AI and learning, but it can be used for totalitarianism. And I remember talking about it in the early 2010s when it was wee baby Drew in high school, and I was telling people this can be used for totalitarianism. This can be something that's not good. We should probably like regulate this before it becomes an issue. And everyone's saying, "Well, no, it's not going to get that far." And who even cares? I don't care who's looking at my emails or doing whatever, as long as they get the bad guys. Well, now they've moved the goalpost to where you are the bad guy.
Yep.
And now they're going to be looking at every single thing that you have done and owned, and they're going to be able to track you, figure out where you're going. Either you carry around your mark of the beast or you get it shot in you. And if you don't get the mark of the beast put in you, we're just going to let you go out to die. It feels as though this is the situation that we're in right now.
Absolutely agree with you on that.
Mhm.
And um, because I don't know if you have them in Massachusetts, but here,
Mhm.
I got a thing that popped up on my phone the other day and I said, download COVID detector. I was like,
I
what?
got a text from the other day. I'll actually let me grab that exact text because I did have that.
It's an actual app.
Mm,
They're like, oh, we can detect COVID with this app. Okay, so what did you really put in that shot to be detecting anything?
what?
No, I'm good. I and I even sat there and I was like, that's a hard pass for me. And I blocked it and I
Yeah.
go, this is not okay.
Oh yeah, it's cyberpunk dystopian, but kind
Hmm.
of kind of lame cyberpunk dystopian, but it's getting there. You know what I mean? I don't know if you're big into video games, but with Cyberpunk 76, it's kind of like the same thing where it's just people with too much technology and the right people being able to pull the strings and take care of people who go against the grain using that very technology we're using to get ahead.
Now I kind of want to play that video game. I do love video games. I'm more of a Call of Duty
Yeah.
person.
Oh, okay. This is more of a story-driven game. It was made by the people who made The Witcher.
Oh, I played that. That one was fun.
Oh yeah, it had a really bad launch. It has a lot of patches and bug fixes, but I think it's cool. The story's pretty fun. One of the intros I played was the corporate intro, and part of that whole thing is a guy is on a conference call, and everyone uses a chip in their brain to be able to do this conference call.
Ah,
And at the end of the conference call, he like blows everyone's heads up using the chip in their head.
okay.
And I was just
So
thinking, like, what greater allegory to where like the thing we use to like make life convenient and do stuff, like it's
so
gonna bite us in the butt.
so you heard that first on VOPUSARadio.com.
Mhm.
And I don't know if I want to play that video game now. Like I've been playing zombies. I'm getting ready for the
Mhm.
zombie apocalypse. That's what I'm waiting for. And I do want to bring that up too. And I thought this was an interesting fact for you too. Now that we've been talking about how they track people and everything.
Mhm.
Um, on the CDC website, I kid you not. I wish I could make this up. Went on there and they said what to do when the zombie apocalypse hits.
Yes, I remember that being like a thing because back when zombies were in their heyday, I want to say between the release of Call of Duty World at War to when The Walking Dead was in its prime, there was a lot of people who were joking mostly, but some people were concerned. Hey, if an issue like that happened, where a disease or a parasite caused people to act like zombies, do we have some kind of plan, or is it going to be a shit show like we see in the show?
Now, I have a question for you. Do you think
Sure.
with all these boosters that are coming out
Hmm.
and everything that they have in there, the mRNA, which changes your DNA, that doesn't even make you quite human anymore. Do you think that's where a zombie apocalypse could take place with this vaccine?
I mean, see, anything's possible at this point, and with booster shots, with more vaccines to fight different strains and different variations, there could be things that go wrong. Um, I was looking at the this article. Scientists question the FDA on the J&J booster data and how it came out very quickly. And one of the comments on it was, then wait a little bit longer. No one's forcing you to get the booster shot this second. Yeah, but then you say, hey, I'm waiting for long-term effects for like 3 years, and then people are going to jump down your ass and your throat and tell you need to get it for the good of everybody.
Mhm.
So there could be long-term effects that deteriorate people, and we don't know. We don't know the long-term effects of this. I remember seeing that someone was saying, "Oh, there's no reproductive issues, like maybe some stuff initially, but nothing for concrete." It's like, doesn't it take like 3 years to do a full check on reproductive
Uh-huh.
issues? Like we don't have any long-term data of people who have this COVID shot, and I don't know, to me, it just seems fishy. It's a gut feeling that I'm not going to get this.
Population control, and now
Yeah.
they're doing 5 and up. 5 and up in
Yes, I
California
saw that. Yes, in
in by June
some
or
new
January
vaccine
1st.
is, yep, some new
Uh-huh.
vaccine is mandatory between, I think the new thing got approved for people who are 5 to 12 years old.
Yep. So anybody
Hmm.
from 5 to however old can get the vaccine as of January 1st here. And I was like, absolutely not. You're not injecting my child with that. So if Newsom ever heard this, sorry, not going to happen. Moving out of state before that happens, that man is screwed
Hmm.
up in the head, anyways. So, but that's a different story for a different day. Um, but just see, like you said, there's no long term. And some people have said that they've gotten this and they were asking because they were perfectly healthy before and they went in a few months later and all of a sudden had cancer.
Wow.
Have you heard that? My little
I
brother
have
was one of
not
them,
heard that. Really? Wow. I'm sorry to hear that.
and he has like leukemia, lymphoma, or something like that. It's an L, and he got really, really sick after getting the booster,
Hmm.
or excuse me, after getting the first dose of the shot. A few months later, he got really, really sick. They took him to the hospital and found out that he had cancer. So, how do we know that they're not doing that? How do we know that this is actually like not part of their plan to do the population control? Like you said, you need longer term. I honestly feel like they should be studying this more than
Hmm.
3 years because it could
Yeah.
take
Well,
that
yeah.
it could take
It
that
takes
long for
time
something
for
to happen.
long-term effects.
Hmm. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. It's just a crazy world that we live in. And, you know, I really am proud of Italy for
Mhm.
stepping up to their government and
France
even
especially.
Australia. I have not seen anything on France yet.
Oh, there are like
Surprisingly,
a couple weeks ago, tens of thousands of workers were storming like the streets of Paris. Like no restaurants were open, nothing. Everyone was in the street saying no to the green cards. They call them like the green passport. They need to have like vaccine cards with them at all time. And there's a lot of people in the working class protesting that.
now I have a question. Did they say
Hmm.
anything about cars burning, buildings getting broken into, anything like that? Or was it more of a peaceful protest, but a vocal protest?
From what I heard, it was a very peaceful protest. If there's anybody watching that has any sources claiming the opposite, I'd love to see them in chat, or I'd love to see a comment on them later. But since we don't get a lot of that European news over the US, I was not hearing of mass property damage involved in these protests.
Okay, so I
Hmm.
just America take notes. Like last
Yeah.
year when BLM broke loose, take notes. That was uncalled for. Mind you, there
Right.
was not one COVID case
Hmm.
with all those protests. But I bet you anything, everything's going to uproot now for France, for Italy, for uh, all the countries that are Australia. Oh, everybody's got COVID now because we all protested together against the
Hmm.
mandate. I'm waiting for
Yeah.
it.
Yeah. No, I could definitely see it getting to a point where this time when conservatives want to protest or when people on the right want to protest, then there's going to be a hey, for health and safety guidelines, we do have to suspend your right to protest in large gatherings because of public health and COVID, guys. Like, and that's where that argument comes into play where, oh, would you rather have a free society or a safe society? And where's that balance? Like, there could definitely, I could see that being a misuse in that where, people in power, especially Joe Biden or Kamala Harris, saying, hey, a
Ugh.
temporary suspension of one of our five freedoms the First Amendment gives us to make sure that everyone's safe from COVID. Not saying COVID not real, not saying that COVID doesn't hurt some people, it does. But if you look at the
Absolutely.
stats, um, Flu deaths are essentially non-existent when compared to numbers of previous years.
Oh yeah,
The
that
death
that
count,
went out
yeah,
the window
the,
a
the
long
death
time
count
ago.
has remained, yeah, the death count has remained consistent over 2020. And I can understand certain arguments and point of views. Like one of the leading causes of death in the United States are automobile accidents. And if we're in a pandemic lockdown, no one's going to be driving, no one's going to be getting into car accidents. I do understand that point of view and that argument, but at least in my opinion, it should not be lowered that much. That's not that much of a factor that would mitigate the total deaths of our country. You know what I mean?
Oh, absolutely. Like, okay,
Hmm.
so that's funny you bring that up because the streets were dead for the longest time during COVID lockdown.
Yes.
Everybody's like, stay in your house, stay in your house. Then people started going back
Hmm.
out. They're like, you know what? Forget this. And then what happened to the cancer deaths? What happened to the people that had other issues that caused deaths? Heart attacks, strokes, seizures. It was
Hmm.
all COVID, right?
Well, what they do is the first thing that happens when someone goes to hospital is they test them for COVID. And a lot of these rapid tests can give false positives, sometimes won't work.
Hmm.
So, who was it? It was a prime minister of an African country. I think it was Zimbabwe, who died later, by the way, under very fishy circumstances. He got a bunch of COVID tests from the UN, and then he tested them on fruit and vegetables, and they all came back positive. And
I
he
seen
brought it
that,
up, and
and I was gonna
he
say
brought it
that.
up saying like these tests aren't exactly reliable, but you go to a hospital, you get rapid tested, and say you die. If that test comes back positive, it's a COVID death, and it manipulates the statistics to the point where it looks deadlier than it even is. There's a lot of statistical manipulation, especially in
And
our
then,
media when it comes to this. Hmm.
oh, absolutely. I
Yeah,
completely agree. You could get shot or stabbed in the stomach. COVID.
yeah,
Okay.
because yeah, oh,
What
he
does that
had
have to do
yeah,
with a
testimony, oh,
stab wound
he
or
had
a
COVID.
gunshot?
Hmm. Yeah, and
Anybody could
back
sit
when I
there and
was
say it's
17.
positive. They want that money.
Oh yeah, exactly. Yeah, the hospitals want more money to be able to treat more people as they go on.
Mhm.
Remember, hospitals are private entities, so they have competition and they always do want the money. Um, People are going to use that statistics to get people to be scared. I saw an article that said the CDC says that people are 11 times more likely to die from COVID without the vaccine than with the vaccine. Well, the COVID death rate for my age bracket is 99.996 is the survival rate. The mortality rate so is a 0.004. So that divided by 11 is the odds of dying under COVID with the vaccine. I'm okay with a 0.004% chance of dying. I think I'll tough it out. Like I think I'm okay. Like it's a stat that's so
Like,
small, and then you throw that in there and you get, oh no. And there's a lot of statistical manipulation when you talk about ways to get people to comply and to be scared. Like for example, when people say, oh, there's an 80% chance, like an 80% increase in this, or it's 80% more likely, that doesn't mean it jumps to 80%. That means that
yeah.
it's 80% of the current statistic. So if there's 10 out of 100 in sample size, and you say, oh, this, 10, say 10 people die from the flu out of 100, and then they say this is 80% more deadly than the flu. That does not mean the mortality is now 80%. It means the mortality is now 18. You know what I mean? But that just using that as an example for statistics and how that
Yeah.
works. So when people say it's this percent or this many times, look into the base numbers because usually it's not that big of a deviation. But a lot of people don't look into stuff.
No, because they feel that the news is going to give them the answers. And
Yeah.
like you just said, you go in and you do it, there's your statistics. You're going in, you're
Mhm.
doing the math, you're doing all the work that goes with it.
Right.
And now they're like, "Oh, okay, well, this is okay." So I we okay, sorry. I gotta say this. I was in the hospital not too long ago. I've been
Okay.
battling, um, female issues.
Right.
It's where I have to have surgery. Not one person was in that hospital sick with COVID in the emergency room, but they're supposedly packed. There was 4 patients in there. How many of the or 4 or 5 patients, they didn't even test me for it or anything. How many of those patients do you think, just because of shortness of breath or something, they gave them the test and told them that they had it to scare them to get more money?
Oh,
What do
without
you
a
think the
doubt.
odds would be?
Oh, it without a doubt, near 100. This the fear and them mongering money and being able to get what they want through spooking people and blowing this up out of proportion is something that I don't put past any organization that benefits from COVID. You know what I mean?
Absolutely, and it's sad.
Mhm. Oh, very much
It's
so.
become a money thing now. It's become money rather
Yes.
than saving a human life. Knowing you have that
Mhm.
medication that can help that person. My parents both had it, and I thank God they made it. Everybody was praying hard, the church, family
Mhm.
members, everybody was praying so hard, and they made it. And I honestly believe the doctors or the hospital, not the doctors, but the hospitals, I feel like they give you something when you're in there from like a shot or a certain medicine or something that gets you sick. And maybe that's like the conspiracy in me, but I feel like there's something else in there that makes you worse. Maybe I'm wrong.
Can you elaborate on that a little bit?
Okay, so say you go in and you got a cold or something. They say you have COVID and you need medicine because of pain or something, you know? How do you know they're not
Mhm.
giving you something else to make you more sick, to get you to the point where you have to be in the ICU? Because people were talking on these sites too that they use a drug in the ICU on um, the patients that are on the ventilators. They use
Mhm.
a certain medication inside of that, and it kills your kidney and your liver. And that's why people are having such a lower rate at coming out. How do you know that they're not trying to get you even more sick so you have to go to the ICU when you're in the hospital, you know, and make it out
I
worse than
I
what it
hear I
really is?
yeah, I can hear where you're coming from with that. No evidence on that, correct? Like, there's no, like, definitive,
The
like, charts you
medicine
can pull up
part,
or anything? Mhm.
the medicine part in the ventilators, I have seen even nurses post stuff about that online. And I will go and get you some screenshots if that site is still up on
Go
Facebook
for it.
and get you that and see if I can do that. Because I text my mom, I said, "Don't you let them give you this."
Yeah,
I go,
it's yeah.
"Don't do
We
it."
live in this
They'll do
weird
anything at
time
this
of
point.
yeah, we live in this weird time of mistrust and not being able to fully want to commit to saying like, "Oh, the government's good," or "These people are good." Everyone's kind of on this verge of trust issue. Like, we don't know if we can take this, or they're doing that, they're doing that. And I love a good conspiracy theory. I'm also good for a reality. And there are some conspiracy theories I believe. There are some that I don't. There are some I look at and say, hey, some things stack up. I look at others and say, but it wouldn't fully shock me that that is going on, that hospitals are tampering with their patients and giving them medication. Not saying it's happening, but it's definitely something that I wouldn't put past these people. Something that I wouldn't entirely rule out, that there's some foul play involved to get people to be scared. Because with these erosion of our rights during COVID, if this pandemic wasn't going on and someone tried to do this with $600 in our bank account, monitoring and saying you can't gather, can't do whatever, can't this, without this pandemic, people would say no, absolutely not, and they would band together. But because we're so focused on our neighbor and being scared of other people based on our differences, we're not going to be able to turn forward and unify. A house divided against itself cannot stand. And as society, as people, if we're not like all in this together, saying no, that's enough, then we're not going to be able to end anything.
Absolutely. I agree.
Mhm.
Um, so I'm not saying so again, I wasn't saying either that they do that. I was
Mhm.
asking. I don't want people getting that confused going, "Oh, well, they do this or they don't." That's just what I've
Right.
heard. I'm gonna go try to find
Yeah.
that information so I can send it to you though,
Okay,
from
thank
the
you. Yeah, I
people
just
that
wanted to
have
make
said
sure that
that.
was clear too. I don't want like someone reference, I don't want to show up on CNN tomorrow saying like political zoo, fear mongering and making claims. Like I just want to make sure like
No.
the suggestions out there, but if you want
The
the
suggestion
proof and
is
you
out
want to
there.
figure it out, go out there.
Like
Mhm.
like, I'm asking for my own curiosity, and
Mhm.
I've seen it from other people that said that they heard of. So I go and I do my research on it, and I've gotta find the name of it, and I'll send it over to you, and show you what I'm talking about after the show, but again, I'm not a doctor,
Mhm.
I'm not a nurse, I'm a DJ. That's what I do, and my job is to make sure that I look at this stuff, though, before I say stuff, and but going into conspiracies, we do that a lot around here too. So
That's right.
I
That's
I
right.
mean, we look into that side of the aspect as well. So,
Always a fan of a good conspiracy around here.
that's right.
Like I said earlier, I grew up on Alex Jones in high school, so I love listening to that. I love talking about those. Those are always so much fun to me to put together and see, oh, would that be real? Maybe. Um, so while we're
Well,
on, I'm sorry, what were we gonna say?
oh, no, go ahead.
I thought you had something to add to the conversation. I was gonna switch the conversation. So you have something else you wanted to say, then go for it.
Let's switch it up.
All right. So we were talking about the government overreach with COVID, with eroding of rights. Let's transition to the opposite end of that spectrum with a very new industry that, well, not very new, but industry I've been very much involved with lately, cryptocurrency and trading
Ooh.
with economics from decentralized coins and tokens online. It's truly a fascinating trend to follow is these tokens, these coins that don't have a backing based on materials, don't have a backing based on countries or value. It's just on the coins that perform themselves. Do you have any experience with cryptocurrencies like Bitcoin or Ethereum?
Um, I let my other half deal with it. We have invested,
Mhm.
and
Smart.
he always tells me, "Let's sit there. It's gonna go down, and you're gonna be crying because you're gonna think you
Yes.
lost everything,
Yes.
and then out of nowhere, it's gonna be surprising and just shoot straight back up again." So he
Mhm.
always said, "Hold on to it and watch it because the way that it's going, more people are." Um, I believe it was in China, I think he said, "We're going over to that now." Or was China and then
So,
Elon Musk
yeah.
was doing that.
Yeah, Elon Musk is huge into it. So China actually banned the mining of cryptocurrency, but it's not illegal to have it. They're trying to centralize it to where it can only come from one source. Whereas the big thing of crypto is that you can get it anywhere. You can get on Coinbase, you can go on Binance, you can go on Robinhood for certain cryptos. Um, it's a very interesting currency, and it raises this question of, do you believe that as our dollar is kind of a benchmark for a lot of things, especially with cryptocurrencies, do you think that at any point in our future, cryptos are going to replace the currency of a prominent first world country? Because they already have replaced, I know, um, what was it? Which country? It was a South American country. They replaced their currency with Bitcoin. Their official currency is Bitcoin. Which country is the
That is interesting
currency?
because I didn't know. I
Yes.
thought it was just something that people were buying right now, doing, kinda like a
El
stock and bond type
Salvador.
thing.
Oh, yeah,
Oh,
it's
okay.
very much like that. Yeah, El Salvador's official currency is Bitcoin. Bitcoin is the leader of the pack when it comes to cryptos, absolutely. But there's a lot of smaller coins that are breaking out, altcoins that are going through ever. A personal coin that I really much like is Shiba Inu. So I'm really excited for that. Just a quick disclaimer and a preface to this talk. We are not financial advisors at all. We are not responsible for any bad decisions you make while investing in cryptocurrency or doing
Absolutely not.
anything. I'm not, don't sue me because you threw your life savings into an altcoin that was a scam. Always do your own research and figure things out before you buy. But it's
Absolutely.
like it's like this whole different method of trading where you're not reliant on stocks and bonds and physical things. It's based on what the coins can do and what the coins represent. And really interesting factors describe what value the coins have. Like Elon Musk is very influential when it comes to cryptocurrencies. Shiba Inu, which is like my main coin of focus lately, whenever he posts a picture of his dog, because he has a Shiba Inu dog, whenever he posts a picture to Twitter of her or him, I think it's a him, it skyrockets the price. It takes a nice little spike. You spike, you take it out, and then you put it back in at the dip. But it's very interesting to see this. And what's great about it being decentralized and not entirely coming from one country is that all the laws and rules regarding stock trading are not affecting cryptocurrency. So insider trading with crypto is completely legal. Doing like mass pump and dump schemes is completely legal. Like manipulating the market is completely legal because crypto is decentralized. It's not monetized by the government. It's not held down. Do you think that will change? And actually, here's a different question. With a free currency like that, being able to go out of these laws and being able to have all this free, almost like free capitalism within this small sector, do you think that there are going to be other methods of our society that are going to have that? I mean, like Political Zoo, we're trying to, not political, well, yes, Political Zoo, but VOP Radio is trying to do the same thing where we have a big, opinions and everywhere is no rules as long as we're not doing anything illegal, kind of a thing where we want to get people to kind of decentralize from these two-party systems and just have people talk it out and do everything. Do you think that we're going to see more cryptos rise to power to where the US dollar becomes obsolete? And do you think we're going to get all other kinds of decentralized uh, products and goods and currencies that are going to rock the world? You know what I mean?
You know, like I said, I don't know much about it. So when he was saying
Hmm.
we're not financial advisors, don't listen to me on this part.
That's right.
Uh,
We are not financial advisors.
Go get you an accountant. Um, they seem to think that it's going to do that.
Hmm.
Because my husband and other people that we know do that, and they think that it's eventually going to take that American dollar. Uh, my biggest concern is with how quick it flops all the time.
Hmm.
It'll go super, super low or, so I experienced in this, but I know that it makes me nervous with that, but I
Yes.
believe that
It's
that
not
could
something you
be
can watch every hour. It's something you have
exactly.
to kind of like you have
Check
to
every month.
know that it's going to go on a bull run, it's going to correct, it's going to spike, it's going to go bearish. Like you have to know what's going on. Like whales really influence it. It's a very different ball game.
Um, oh, absolutely, and
Hmm.
from what they've always said, I feel or they feel, not me, because I feel like this is just crazy. Um, but I have also invested into it. I've given him money and I'm
Hmm.
like, "Okay, go buy me some crypto. I don't know what we're doing, so you do it because I don't know what I'm doing." But he thinks that that's gonna turn into, like, El Salvador for us, where that's gonna be
Yeah.
our only currency because we're already losing the value in American dollar because of the debt the government's getting us in now. So
Yeah,
maybe
true.
crypto is gonna be the source for us getting some kind of, financial gain back. Who knows? I wish I
Going
knew
to
more on
crypto for
that.
financial stability. That's kind of funny.
Maybe that's what it's gonna come down
Hmm.
to though, because that's how they, like, talk all the time. They think that this is gonna be the thing, that's gonna have more value over the American dollar. And
Well, a lot of cryptos already have more value than the American dollar. I mean, Bitcoin this week had a pretty bullish week where it's over 60 grand for one Bitcoin. So one Bitcoin is 60,000 times stronger than the dollar.
jeez. Yeah, see, I didn't know how that stuff worked because the last time he showed me Bitcoin, I was sitting there crying, going, "Oh, we're gonna lose everything. We're gonna lose our
Mhm.
computers, we're gonna
Yeah.
lose our animals, we're gonna lose it all because for what?" And
Yeah.
he's like, "Just watch, it's gonna go back up." And I was like, "I don't want to look at that
Yep.
again." So it's been months.
Yeah. It corrects. It's very interesting depending on what it does and who endorses what. It's all very kind of like high school popularity contest wise, you know what I mean? It's
Yes.
like weird to say it like that, but it's worth as much as we say it is. And what I like about Sheeb, which is what we call Shiba Inu token, is it's a meme token, but it does have actual value, and it's this combination of those elements is what's expected to propel it to a high status altcoin. Right now, it is two zeros short from 1 cent. So it's like 0.0000, I think 2 cents, about that much.
Hmm.
But it does have room to grow with new burn programs, with the NFT sales. It's a lot of new weird ways to make money, and it's definitely going to influence the political landscape because you're going to have all these younger entrepreneurs and developers and people who know these new systems getting very wealthy off of these systems that make sense that don't make sense to anyone who did not grow up with computers or with um people who don't just fully understand it, even at their same age bracket. Like a lot of the people who are getting rich from cryptos and NFTs are people in the young age bracket in their 20s or 30s. Like trying to explain an NFT to a boomer is hilarious. Like it's so hard to explain.
The bad part is I'm not the boomer and I'm learning something from you right now because
Okay,
I
yeah.
didn't know about this.
Even millennials have trouble like with the NFT because the NFTs are like a really new concept. Like NFTs, so when I talk about NFTs, it's short for a non-fungible token, which is the best way to describe it is the original version of a picture on the internet. You know what I mean? So, yeah, you can click on an NFT, hit save as, and have it on your computer for free, but it's not the original. In the same vein, you can print out the Mona Lisa and hang it on your wall at home, but it's not worth nearly as much as the original Mona Lisa in the Louvre.
Right.
It's the same kind of thing where it's the original, like either a GIF or a pixelated image. The third largest sum of money paid to a living artist, I believe it was between 65 or $69 million, was to a Instagram artist, and the picture was an NFT. You can click and
Wow.
save it right off of a website. You can have it as your desktop background. It's not going to be worth $70 million, but it's the original. It's like digital art.
Now you're giving
So
me
when people,
ideas. Thank you.
isn't it like weird? Yeah, and like you can make your own NFTs. Like go into Microsoft Paint and you got it. That's your NFT. Like,
I'm just gonna
you
slap
know,
paint across the screen.
exactly. Yeah, and you got it.
Cool.
But it's this new way of trading and making money where, yeah, there's like new economic stuff to it, but it's going to affect the political sphere because you're going to have this whole new demographic coming into power. You know what I mean? Like with the wealth, with government, with being able to like buy and influence, like money talks and money does give you wealth. And having this knowledge of crypto is going to get this whole new generation to come up. And it's going to affect us a lot politically, where a lot of the like people in government don't understand how technology works. Like no one in Congress, or at least most people in Congress, aren't going to be able to explain to you what an NFT is. Um, we talked a little bit about it last week. Did you see the congressional hearing with the that Facebook whistleblower? That senator was asking her about deleting Finsta.
I read one article and I didn't follow up. I was going to. I've just had such a busy, busy week trying to get everything set up around here.
No worries. Yeah,
So,
it was so funny. This dude, this old congressman, like 70-year-old congressman asks, "What are you doing about deleting Finsta?" Do you know what a Finsta is before I start laughing?
um, no, but you can laugh at me, or
Okay.
that's perfectly
So
fine.
so for those who are unaware, a Finsta is short for fake Instagram. So say you have an Instagram that's your main, everyone knows that's your page, but you want to post pictures, but you don't want to ruin your reputation, or you don't want an employer to see that, or you don't want certain people to see that. You make a Finsta, a fake Insta, where you can post your pictures that you want like people to see of like, hey, I'm out at a party, I'm out at a club, like here's me at a concert. Like it's stuff you put on there that's not something that could, go on your main page because you want to keep it separate. And this governor was asking, what are you doing about deleting Finsta? As in like Finsta is in itself its own thing. And like it's not something that you could like it's something where they like these people don't understand the concept of society right now. And you're gonna have this like I said with these cryptos, you're gonna have these group of people who are gonna get this wealth and power, and it's gonna translate to you're gonna have this clash of people who are young coming into positions of power with money and wealth and know-how of how new system works, going against these old people in Congress and going against how the old system works. And it's definitely going to clash with how we as society do things. Internet has forever changed society, and it's making it into almost unrecognizable from what it was 100 years ago, you know?
Yeah,
Hmm.
definitely has done. So now that I've learned a new word, I'm kind of excited, but now I kind of want to come up with another word for like fake Facebook, and I don't know
Hmm.
how to
Yeah.
do that.
Off of Facebook. Just
Uh,
stutter a little bit.
Facebook. We
Off
could do it
Facebook.
that
Off
way.
Facebook.
Um, but
Hmm.
society has really gone a different direction. Like you said, like if I was to try to explain this to my mom, it'll be like
Yeah.
10,000 times that I'm going over it. Just like she
Hmm.
doesn't know technology, you know? So you have to sit there and explain to her, well, how do I do this? How do I do that? How do I turn my phone on? Push the button. What button? That button. Why? It's going to turn your phone on. And then,
Yeah. Oh my goodness. Yeah.
so now you've got to try to program your brain to pick that up. And then you try to explain something like this to somebody, it's going to program their brain to where they know what's going on. But the whole with that old guy, sorry, I don't know your name. I just know he said you were old. So we're gonna go with
Oh yeah.
that.
It was some
Uh,
senator. Hmm.
you know, he doesn't understand it, and I'm not okay. This sounds really crazy. I have an Instagram for
Okay.
fans to go in and message me and get to see
Hmm.
pictures, for whatever. That's the only Instagram I have. Same with Twitter. I'm not gonna go
Yeah.
make a Fwitter or whatever he wants to call it and a
A fritter,
Finstagram, a fritter and a
like an apple fritter.
right. You
Fritter.
know, come join
Hmm.
me at what I have, and trying to explain stuff like that to somebody is in this day and age, it's hard because the older generation does not
Hmm.
think that way with the crypto. So we were talking about the cryptocurrency. We were talking about what we think of the values and talking about how it works, right? You get the older
Right.
people in there. You get the older people in there, they're not going to know. And just like this old guy know about social media, how many sorry, older people do you think know about this kind of stuff? They're learning from
Oh, not
us.
very many. Hmm.
They're learning from the younger generation what we know. And that's kind of scary. But
Yeah.
we have the Google, they have the experience. So which which is it? And I just and by the way, my other half just sent me a picture of my cryptocurrency because he heard us talking about this,
Yeah.
and I'm scared, and I want a Shiba Inu. Inu. I can't even say it. Elon
Hmm.
Musk, I need your help, man, because my crypto dived all the way down. Like it was really high lines, and it's just
No, yeah.
nosedive.
Shiba took a hit this week. Had a really nice bullish run, and as it went to correct, a whale panic sold. And when one whale panic sells, all the whales panic sell, and everyone's selling. Then it's misinterpreted as it's no value, and it went down. But I don't know. We're in an upwards climb from the dip. We'll see what's going on. Hopefully, SHIB gets up to the moon.
So
If SHIB hits $1, I'm going to be in a lot nicer of a recording studio. So hopefully it can, go up. Yeah, but with like cryptos, just in about the economy in general, the inflation of the dollar has hit a 13-year high at 5.4%. Food prices are now
yikes.
as expensive as ever. Yeah, you have places firing other people over not getting vaccines. Gas is now the most expensive it's been in a long time. We're
Mm-hmm.
setting up for economic ruin and economic hardship and collapse. But I feel like crypto is probably the best method of doing this.
Do you think this is going to be our Great Depression of our time?
Oh, I definitely believe so. I feel as though um, this is going to absolutely rock us, and it's really kind of dependent on what systems are still up infrastructure wise. Where this is going to form a new Great Depression, and history never repeats, but it oftentimes rhymes. And pandemic going into depression, it's going to happen. The economy is already on its downward spiral, and this is where I feel like the US dollar is going to lose a lot of its grip and credibility. I'm sure it's still going to be measured as a benchmark, and it's still going to be widely used, but I do foresee in the next, let's say, 25 years, I foresee in the next 25 years, cryptocurrency is going to be the main way that countries interact with each other as far as finances and relief packages and bills and debt paying. Like the currency's equivalent in the US dollar, like just transitioning it over because the dollar is inflating to where, it doesn't equal as much as it does. You know what I mean? Like
Right.
if we have a debt to someone that's $1 million, and $1 million becomes worth as much as a penny, we don't really owe that country that much anymore. That could be the long game. I just put it together. What if? Hold on with me now. What if the current administration is actively and intentionally destroying the economy so that way the dollar doesn't carry as much as it does? It's easier to get the trillions of dollars we owe to China, pay it off, and then rebuild the economy so that way it's back into a new economic boom.
You know what? I honestly could not agree with you more.
Like,
That
think about
right
that.
there,
Think about that.
absolutely.
It's like, hey, I know it's going to suck for a little while, but we're going to pay for everything. And then we'll just go back to it, and the dollar will be good again. Truly, if you're talking, I can't hear you. Truly, I think your mic cut out. Oh, hello?
Is that better? There we go.
I can hear you
I'm
now a
back.
little bit. Yeah, you're a
I'm
little
back.
fuzzy
Sorry.
now.
Okay.
No worries.
Give me one.
Sure thing, do what you gotta do. But imagine that. The big brain play. This absolute craziness of let's just destroy the economy, pay our debts, and then bring it back. And use cryptos to preserve. Oh my goodness, this is just the plan.
You know,
Biden's a genius.
I never in a million years would have thought of that, and that's a really good thought, and now I've
Oh my
gotta, like,
goodness.
sit there and run that by the ones that I work
I
with, so they could be like,
Yeah,
"Whoa, okay," and I'm gonna be like, "Go over to Political Zoo because that's where you're gonna get all
that's
these
right.
awesome ideas."
I have I now have reignited faith in our government and who runs everything because this is obviously what it's gonna be, right? They can't be that incompetent. It's intentional. That's
It
how it's gonna work.
do you Okay, so quick question. In the process of doing that, do you think this could be our way with getting back at China for supposedly sending the COVID virus over here? Just curious.
See, I think that's a little too like short term in like our motives. I feel like this was hatched a while ago where people are like, "Hey, if we just make our currency not as like
Special.
valuable, yeah, and then we just get that debt out of the way for what, much less than it should cost, then it becomes like that's how we pay the debt. And then we use cryptos to neutral. Bro, this is insane. We figured it out. We cracked the code.
So, if you guys are
I'm I
just tuning in, we can't give you financial advice, but we
Yeah, we
can
can't
tell
even.
you we cracked the code.
Did a black van just roll up outside my house? What's going on?
You're like, "Wait
I
a
feel I'm gonna
second.
get abducted. There's probably not gonna be an episode next week. I'm probably gonna be be taken against my will.
You have a dog, right?" I'd keep the
I
dog
have a
close enough to the
cat.
dog.
I
They're
have a
just as
cat,
mean.
so she'll yeah, yeah, she bites sometimes.
That is absolutely crazy, like, I've never even thought about that. And
Interesting. I mean, it's definitely not what's happening, but that's like imagine if that was the play. Like in 20 years from now, like everything gets declassified and like we're in a new economic renaissance. It's like a new 40s and 50s and everyone can buy electric cars, minimum wage can buy you like a two-family house. And it comes out like, yeah, no, we intentionally had to tank the economy. I know it sucked for a while, but now we're able to live.
Okay, yeah, see, I'm okay with being, like, in the 40s and 50s again. That was, like, the era that I would have wanna
Hmm.
been it well, not fully,
Hmm.
but, like, with the TV shows and stuff, you seen the housewives being all cute and lovey, and I absolutely love that kinda
Yeah.
stuff. So, you know what? Come on, government, do
Yeah.
what you have to do to bring us back to the
We
50s.
figured it out.
That's pretty impressive. I'm impressed.
Thank you. I that literally all just came to me. That all pieced together.
We were just sitting here asking and talking
Hmm.
questions about this, and then you just started piecing, and you're like, "Wait a second." And I was like, "I didn't do it."
Yeah. That's it. We
I
got it.
Now, I do have a question about you on the cryptocurrency though, because
Sure.
like I said, I'm new to this. How do you think we can spend that? Do you think it has to be on a card? Do you think we're going to actually have some kind of currency like a dime or penny, or a dollar bill?
So
Uh,
certain crypto wallets and services do have cards that come with your account that you can get where you can pay in crypto. Like say you go to a Walmart to buy something and you don't have any dollars, but you have it in Bitcoin. When you swipe it at the register, it'll convert that crypto into dollars and then spend it.
Oh, okay.
So some places
Sorry.
do that. It's okay. No, some places outright take the crypto as well. Tesla used to take Bitcoin, doesn't anymore, but it used to. Um, Elon went on record to say how much he doesn't like Bitcoin because of how much it impacts the environment, which it can because there's a lot of electricity that goes into Bitcoin mining. Um, yeah, there's some businesses that take it. I remember seeing last week on the Shiba Inu army subreddit there was a hot dog truck that was taking Dogecoin and Sheep token as payment.
Okay, that hot dog truck needs to come to my house. I've
Yes.
got I've got crypto that I need to spend on hot dogs.
Yes.
So come
Yeah,
this way.
like smaller businesses will usually take it. When a big business takes it, it's huge. I know there's a browser extension that lets you convert crypto on the fly, kind of like what those cards did, like what I mentioned just now. There's a website that it's a browser extension. I forget the name of it. I think it has shop in the name.
Hmm.
Um, extension that lets you Pay in crypto.
See, I didn't know that you could actually pay with it now. I thought this was something you had to let build up, and I didn't know if it goes to a bank account. See, I don't know how this stuff works. So I'm learning something new tonight. So thank you. I
No
appreciate that.
problem. It's fascinating. It's its own economy within an economy. You know what I mean? So yeah, it's Moon lets you pay with cryptocurrency at millions of online retailers. A lot of online retailers will take coins, but it'll essentially liquidate your asset for you, and then let you buy with that liquid cash. You know?
Okay. Interesting.
Yeah. So there's a lot that goes into it, and it's very new, and it's still unstable. Um, but it's something that as it's rising, the dollar's falling, and it's kind of giving that like that look of should we get on this train? Should we completely abandon the dollar, or do we think it's salvageable? What do you think we can be able to do to diminish the inflation rate? And do you think that the dollar will ever get back to a value where it's $1 for a gallon of gas or $1 for a gallon of milk?
Wouldn't that be nice?
Yeah, it would be,
That's all
huh?
I can say. I remember that. Okay.
Hmm.
So without saying my age, I'm just going to tell you, I remember when gas was 97 cents a gallon.
Wow.
And then I think the most high that I was ever surprised to see it was a dollar
Hmm.
25 when I was in middle school. And I was, Mommy, it went up so much, and she was like, "Oh yeah, a dollar 25." And she could fill her
Hmm.
car for 11 bucks, 12
That's
bucks.
crazy. That's
And
that's insanity.
and now you go anywhere and your car that's like 20 miles to the gallon, 13 gallon, they're like,
Yeah,
that'll be $5 million, 852 cents,
and there's
and
going to
pay
be
with
a mile
cash.
tax on that, by the way. You ready for that?
No,
The mile tax, the green initiative. You
no,
see that?
I did not. And that's
So,
not going to be good.
yeah. So the Biden administration wants to put a mileage tax on, so only if you drive a car that relies on fossil fuels. If you're driving an electric car, it wouldn't apply to you. But the Biden administration says they want to put this in effect to make it so that way you're incentivized to not drive a fossil fuel car and to get an electric car. To which now, and I've expressed this, this will not incentivize that. This will just keep working class citizens down.
Wow. The
Because
fossil is taxing us. That's cute.
yeah, that's the fossils attacking the fossil. And I do want a all electric car society. Let's get that out of the way. I don't like fossil fuels. If you've watched the show before, you know I am a nuclear shill. I want clean energy. I want electric cars. It'd be awesome. And I feel like retailers have what the tools that need to do it in order to get all of their cars to be electric. Norway actually, as of next year, Norway will no longer sell fossil fuel cars. They will be all electric, which is really cool. But the way that they're going about it is not right. A mileage
Mm-mm.
tax is not going to cause people to buy a electric car. It's going to cause people to stay poorer so they can't get an electric car. It's just another way of control.
Yep.
Because and also one
Because,
of my yeah,
oh, go ahead. Sorry.
no, sorry. One of my friends brought it up too. Since they tax fossil fuels, they realize with these electric cars, they're not going to be able to tax it as heavy. So for the time being, they're going to be taxing the mileage and the fuel to make up for the lost money. And they know full well that not a lot of people are going to be able to get electric cars.
Jeez. Okay.
Hmm.
Yeah. So so let's just make everybody, like you said, pay for an electric car. It's
Yeah.
cool. But we're going to charge you up the yin yang for the fossil fuel. But in the meantime, everybody, I think what Joe Biden's really saying is you should walk.
Hmm.
Um, save
Yeah.
gas,
Just
save
walk to work.
electricity. Um,
Hmm.
now this is going to be my next. I'm going to ask you this question. So
Sure.
if we go over to the electric cars, is there going to be like a or a car charging station everywhere we go?
So there are already electric car stations in more places than you'd think. Um, a big thing with Tesla when they were making the electric car, number one, they wanted to make it as affordable as it can be. And for early stages of phasing in new technology, it is semi affordable to those who really want to make the switch. Like I said, semi though, because
Hmm.
I'm actually on Tesla's website trying to get data on that right now. Um, but part of that being, if you get an electric car, that's all cool, but where's your local charging station? If you don't know where your local charging station is, then um, like you're not going to want to drive your electric car. We know where all our gas stations are. Now, there are charging stations, I believe, at every Home Depot.
What if
Let me
you're in the
fact check that
desert?
before I get.
What if you're in the desert doing this though? And
What
you
if you're in
get
the desert and
stranded
there's
up?
no gas station?
That's why you always carry an extra gallon in the back just in case you run out of gas
Yeah.
until you can get to the next
So
gas
I'm
station.
not going to make the blanket statement and say every Home Depot has it, but my local Home Depot is a very big, like they have a bunch of Tesla stuff. I went out to Western Mass a couple of weeks ago, and in like a rundown mall that barely has any shops open that you would like, you wouldn't really go to that much, they have a Tesla charging station. Tesla's pushing for places to have electric charging stations so that way when that transition happens, people aren't like, "Oh crap, where am I going to get it?" Um like I do understand like you can't carry electricity like, unless you have like separate battery packs, but these cars are very like fuel efficient, I would say, you know what I mean?
Hmm.
Like for per
So that
charge, I'm sorry.
so they carry fuel along with the
Like,
charge of the battery.
no, like the battery, like the electricity is what I'm calling the fuel. Like they
Oh,
don't
okay.
have
Sorry.
gasoline. Yeah. So it's 326 miles per charge, like full charge,
Dang.
which is still that's really good. And it has like decent stats as far as speed. And it is like I said, it's a little expensive. You can get it. You can use Tesla for kind of affordable if you really want to make the switch. If you want to bring Tesla, those are a little expensive. Um, but yeah, fossil fuels is trying to be phased out, and I don't disagree. I want clean energy and clean cars, but this mileage tax isn't what I think can do it.
Right.
Um, what are your thoughts on that? Do you think you'll ever have an electric car?
Well, if I did, that would be pretty cool. I'd be like typing it in where I need to go and just kicking back, relaxing, taking a nap. Um,
Hmm.
Probably not, depending, what a financial situation is. Because, like we were just saying, these cars, they're semi affordable as
Hmm.
opposed to, somebody who's had a car for like 15 years that kept it up, they have to run on
Right.
gas. So, as cool as it would be to have that car, it makes it hard, but it also makes it hard with gas prices. Who would want a gas running car?
Yeah, it's one of those things where you got to do like the long-term math and figure out if it's going to be a good deal to do that.
Exactly. So, if they had like the extra charging packs,
Hmm.
like you were talking about, where you could put the extra batteries in the car and just switch them out and charge them up at each station or whatever if you're traveling, I
I
think
figure
that would be
eventually
okay.
that'll become. I feel like eventually that'll become a actual product because people. I know people who have a 1 gallon of gas in their car at all times just in case they break down. You know what I mean? In one of those like red gas canisters.
Mhm.
Like I know people who have trucks that do that just in case they run out of fuel. They're not paying attention. So there's if it doesn't exist already, they gotta be at work inventing a portable battery that if you're in a pinch, you can plug into your car and charge it.
Yeah, I would hope so. I would hope that would be the one thing that they are considering, And
Mhm.
then maybe that would be something that I would consider too, get an electric car to do that. But here's my next question. Wouldn't you have to have a license? Or would you not have to have a license if your car is doing all the driving by itself?
Oh, so okay, so just to make sure, like you know the difference, all electric cars aren't self-driving.
Oh, okay. So I was wrong on that.
Oh yeah,
So,
and it is that is another avenue of discussion which we can definitely go into. But like I just want to make sure that like we're all straight here. Not all electric cars are self-driving, but as of right now, all self-driving cars are electric, or at least all ones available to the public.
okay. Okay, that's probably where I got confused then.
Mhm.
Because like you said, I've heard a lot about Tesla getting into a lot of car accidents around here because the people are doing the self drive or whatever, where automatic drive, sorry. Um,
Mhm.
as a matter of fact, there was an accident in Los Angeles a couple nights ago. Katie Seagal was hit by a car
I saw that.
from
Was
a
it like an
Tesla.
electric? Was it a self-driving electric car?
Yes, it was the Tesla, but the guy was like, "Oh, I was driving, but I didn't have my thing on or whatever." And they're like, "Then how did you not see her in the crosswalk?"
Yeah.
There
So a
was
lot of the, yeah, a vast majority of those cars that are self-driving, those accidents are usually caused by human error.
okay. So, like, I seen that and I was just like, "Okay, well, Tesla's saying these are kind of like the smart cars for
Mhm.
a vehicle." So, when they're driving themselves, how do they know when to stop? How do they know when to do something? Who gives it the
Yeah.
command? Like, if there's nobody in that car? I'm
So
confused.
with the way that it looks as far as legislation goes, so from what I hear, the self-driving feature is usually not available in the city. It's usually
Oh,
only a highway feature because of like stuff like that, people running in front of the street, dense areas. It's usually tough. I heard it's capable, and I think I remember seeing Elon Musk saying we can fully switch over if you guys want to, but there's going to be so many external human error where people are just going to walk in front of cars or jaywalk or do things where the cars aren't going to anticipate that,
right.
or like other cars running red lights and things like that. um, so when you use the self-driving features on Tesla, what you want to do is you get on the highway, and then once when you're comfortable on the highway, you set the advanced cruise control. I actually personally have a friend who has a 20, I think it's a 2019 car that has a self-driving, like I wouldn't call it a full self-driving car, but it's a advanced cruise control is what it's called. And now this is not an electric car. So this is kind of the extent of the technology on the electric ones. So not the non-electrics, but it advanced cruise control, it keeps a pace that you set. You can also set the distance you want between a car in front of you, and it has advanced lane departure to where you can like take your hands off the steering wheel. But as far as legality goes, the legislation, at least the early legislation, is that there needs to be someone in the car, in the passenger seat, with a license, cognizant and ready to take the wheel at any time in case of an emergency.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Now
Like
see,
you
yeah.
can't just be like, all right, well, put my infant son in the car, drive him to daycare and come back. I got to go to work. That's not how. That's not where we're going. In the future, maybe be really cool, but that's not where it's at. You know what I mean?
So after talking about this and learning more
Mhm.
about this, the electric car, it kind of sounds kind of cool. Like, I think I could be on board again. What if, I could have the extra batteries to make sure that I get from point A to point
Yeah.
B and I charge them all up and
Right.
get them all going and everything. But
Yeah,
I
and it
think
has
that
become more affordable because like used electric cars from like 2017 are still going for like 18,000 at the cheapest. So they do have to come down. I feel like in 15 years, it's going to be a lot more feasible to get a majority of people in electric cars than it would be otherwise.
right. And
Hmm.
I think that would probably be a really cool option.
Yeah.
But again, as we went back to what we were originally talking about, though, with the fossil fuel tax,
Right.
that's not okay just to get them to change the economy the way they
Right.
want it.
Especially in today's day and age, if that was a tax implemented, I want it in like 25 years from now, I'd fully understand that. And I would I wouldn't outright support it, but I would say, yeah, it's electric cars are cheap. You can get them now. If that is available to the average person on an average income to be able to get those cars, then yeah. But we're not there yet. It's way too early to be imposing this. You know what I mean? I understand wanting to go into a full green initiative, but it's not something that we can do in the timetable that they're trying to push.
Right. And so that's like with Newsom. He
Hmm.
he signed a law saying I want cars banned by this date and they need to be electric and people need to stop buying new cars unless they're electric now because California's going all electric here soon. And where is that okay to be sitting there telling people, okay, well, you have to do this, or, again, here's your consequence, higher gas, higher this, higher that, and just thinking that it's okay to not let people, again, it's like a freedom thing. If you think about it, you don't have your freedom of choice on your vehicle anymore.
I'm thinking of that more as a economic thing, more of a demographic thing, because that is a tall order on any state in our union, let alone California.
Don't get me started.
Like what?
Yeah,
This massive state. Yeah, LA County with a bigger population than 43 other states in the union. That's just one county in California. Trying to impose a law like that is near impossible, especially like I said, the timeline that we are at with transitioning to electric cars. That is unfeasible. That is not a possibility.
I wonder if I got the screenshot of that. If I do, I'll send it over to you. But I was just reading that and I was like, when is this guy just going to stop signing things? And when is he going to start taking the Californians into consideration with what he does? It's
And I understand.
what
Yeah,
fits his
exactly.
narrative and what fits his agenda. And I know this is totally off topic, but he should have been recalled when they had him up for that because it seems like he has done more harm to the state of California by signing these crazy that he signs into effect. The inflation and everything down in California is insane. For a roll of sausage, they wanted $8 for a pound of sausage the other day.
Wow.
And I was like, yeah, probably not. So let me go look over here. And coffee for the I don't know if you drink coffee, but they have the little bags of coffee, I
Mhm.
got it on sale for $4, but it was originally $13.
Wow.
And they were just trying to get rid of everything in there. And I went through another aisle, and soda is even getting expensive, for like the 24 packs. My mom used to tell my
Mhm.
dad all the time, $7 is a lot for a 24 pack. That's just too expensive, and now it's almost 10, $11 for a 12 pack. So you're seeing the inflation going up, and especially with the gas already. Gas is at 4.50 a gallon.
450 over there.
Yes, 4.50 a
That's
gallon.
insane.
You go and you find
Wow.
maybe like one of the creepy, scary little gas
Mhm.
stations that you don't know if you're going to make it out of that gas station or not. It's going to be a bit cheaper, but
Yeah,
450
I
is
have one of those on
around.
my street.
Yeah, and you're
I
just
have
like,
I have
yeah,
like the big name gas station that's safe and lit up, and then you have the one that's sketchy, but the sketchy one's 15 cents less. So you're like,
you're like,
oh.
you're like, do I want to go where it's well lit, or do I want to
Yeah.
like, oh, see what can happen to me tonight?
Is
I'll take
saving
my
gas
chances.
is saving gas money worth my safety? Should I go in there?
Please send some of the light over here. But,
Yeah.
and that's kind of like what the world has turned into, though. This is a good comparison of what's going on. It's like, is this a safe for me, or is this going to be sketchy, and they're going to make it look better because it's going to be cheaper in their eyes, not our eyes. We see the inflation, and they're like, oh, well, this is not really that bad. Come over here, and we'll show you why the government needs to control things.
Hmm.
And so we go over there, and that's the sketchy side. And we're just like, maybe I wanted to go back over where the light was and go back over there so I could actually, see and feel safe again. Because with everything that the governments, all of them, what they've been doing is destroying this country. And you, like you said, you piece that together on the crypto, and you got that piece together, and you see how sketchy that is. Even just
Right.
for the thought, it's sketchy to even think about. And then you go over here, and then you're talking about the fossil tax, and
Hmm.
that's sketchy
Yeah.
because,
The mileage tax on top of how much
yeah,
gas costs, it's going to
oh,
be another cost on top of that. You know what I mean? Like it's a cost for gas that's already expensive on the miles you drew already on that gas. You're essentially getting taxed twice on
yeah.
this fuel.
I would be willing to make a bet within the next 3 or 4 years, gas is going to be over $6 a gallon. And then they add that tax onto their, think about that. So, you know what? I do have to agree with you. I think the the charge cards, the, the energy cars are going to
Mhm.
be the better option at that point.
How much does
Looking
it
into it.
cost to how much does it cost to have a horse
Oh,
at that point?
I don't know because,
I'd roll up on a horse
you
to work
know,
if gas
I'm
is
just
six
saying,
dollars a gallon.
I will make a cart, and I
I'll
will
put,
grow my
yeah.
own hay and
Yeah,
grow my
I will
own corn.
petition my employer to have a stable at work so I can bring my horse around. There's no way I'm
Okay.
spending that much on gas. Goodness
But if
gracious.
you think about it, the
Mhm.
Amish do it every day.
Yeah, yeah,
The
the Amish do,
Amish
but
do,
they're also not how far are they traversing though with those horses, you know? They're not
true.
going on like highways, like major highways, you know, not going on like interstates usually. While we're talking about vehicles with a lot of fuel in them, planes,
Mm,
um, while we're talking about transportation, all that fun stuff, have you been hearing about the massive flight cancellations these past weeks?
yes, with Southwest Airlines, and
Yes.
not only with just the planes, but the trains as well with Amtrak.
Yes. Planes, trains, and automobiles.
Yes, we
Someone
got the
get
whole
John
song.
Candy.
Yep, we got it all.
Yeah, but it's becoming a traveling nightmare right now. It's personally
Hmm.
affected me. I have a friend whose parents were trying to go to Florida last weekend, and they couldn't go due to no pilot being available to fly them. And that's not so much a fuel problem, it's because of what we were talking about earlier, these COVID mandates. That's what's
Hmm.
causing these mass strikes. I think it was like 800 flights this past week that have been canceled.
So in total, it's been almost 2,000 flights in total in the last
Even
couple weeks.
more, almost
Yeah,
3
so
times what I was getting numbers wise. Wow. That's 2,000 flights canceled because of these vaccine mandates. Um, do you think that so did you hear what happened in New York? Did I tell you about that? Was that
mm-mm.
in the discussion earlier? Where in New York, all healthcare workers that don't have the COVID
Oh,
vaccine
yes.
are fired and replaced
Yes.
by members of the military that are just as qualified. Do you think we're going to get that in other facets of work? Like, do you think we're going to get a bunch of Air Force pilots to be civilian pilots? Do you think we're going to have military run schools, military run restaurants, military run like banks and everything? Do you think it's going to be a complete military takeover, or do you think they have enough sense to know that if the military takes over everything, then that's an actual invasion.
I
That's an
think that they
actual
would
down
I
so
okay, well, I would think and hope they would have enough sense to realize what that would be doing.
Mhm.
Because I've even heard of a lot of military people saying they didn't want it. They wanted to get out. It was against their what they fought for,
Hmm.
and they're being forced to do it. And now, if they did all that, wouldn't that be considered like martial law?
Essentially, I would say it's just martial law without saying martial law because now the government's keeping the peace in every facet of society, which by definition is fascism.
Okay, so that just got me thinking. You had the first part with the cryptocurrency. Now I'm
Yeah.
thinking on
Okay.
this.
What's your light
And
bulb?
so if we go that route, like you said, they're going to have everything they want with the peace. They're
Hmm.
going to have, but here's the thing, is it really going to be peaceful if the military took over? Because they'll have us on curfew. Somebody breaks that curfew, they could threaten what? To arrest you? Could they shoot you? I mean, what are your possibilities on that?
Hmm.
The military is trained for this kind of thing. And to me, is if the military took over the United States, it would be like the government was Adolf Hitler and those were their soldiers. And I know that's a scary
Yeah.
comparison, but that's exactly what it would be. The government running this to make them go after any and everyone for freedom. And now you have said that, what if it's the Air Force pilots taking over? What if it's, the military people, the nurses, the doctors, the physicians, like pediatrics? They take care of the pediatrics in the military hospitals. It could very well be turning into that. And that could happen within a few years because if you've ever heard, they've talked about doing stuff like this before. I don't know if you guys were a part of it, but they wanted to throw the West Coast into martial law when COVID started.
I think I remember reading something like that.
So you're sitting there and they're already threatening the martial law there. What else are they going to threaten us with?
Hmm.
They're going to give them the jobs. Okay, cool. But how many of those military people are actually going to stand up and say, I can't do this because this is not what I fought for? This is not what I'm for. So, how many military people do you would actually stand up for that?
One of those instances of I'm just following orders, I'm just doing what I have to do, kind of a thing to where I'm just doing my job, man. Like why you gotta do me like that? Where that in itself is gonna cause issue to where like when you said curfew, I just imagined like I'm driving home and I get pulled over and some cops like, hey, what are you doing out this late? It's like, oh, I do like podcasts. I'm just going home. And he's like, all right, like, you're gonna get like a fine for this or a ticket for this. Like, how would I react? How would a vast majority of Americans act to when people say, like, dude, what do you like? And I know a lot of people say, oh, a lot of police officers wouldn't do that. And I personally know people that would quit and everything. Okay, that's nice. But that means there's still gonna be a lot of people. Remember we
Hmm.
were talking earlier, half of
Yep.
the Chicago Police Department is going on leave, probably unpaid leave, over the vaccine. Half. That means
Yep.
there's another half, and that other half is going to be happily enforcing it, happily taking whatever gun you have, happily issuing tickets out for curfew, happily dragging you away. Not saying every cop is like that. I'm not saying don't trust your cops with certain matters, but don't unconditionally trust the system with anything. Because at any moment,
Absolutely.
if they're given the ability to have power like that, they'll take it 100%.
And that's scary. That's a very, very scary thing with all that
Hmm.
is the fact that they sit there and they're like, we're calling them in because, like you said, you're just out. I'd be like, excuse me, sir, your boots untied. And I would see how fast I can go and see if you can outrun him.
Yeah.
Like, deuces. I
Yeah.
was trying to work, I was trying to make a living. But I mean, unfortunately, that could turn to, consequences that we don't want to think about. And I feel like this could be a scenario if they do call in the military. This could be like a martial, not the martial law, but like a Nazi type situation where the
Hmm.
government is Hitler and the soldiers are doing all the dirty work while they just sit back and watch people get
Speaking
screwed.
of, yeah, exactly. Speaking of the opposite of that, where we have a rare instance of the government doing something to protect a freedom, The governor of Texas has banned all COVID-19 vaccine mandates, including private businesses. The Supreme Court is definitely trying to fight those. Every time I see something, as in we're not allowing mandates, we're not allowing masks, we're not allowing vaccine mandates, there's always the Supreme Court that's jumping in and trying to get them to switch over. Um, which states do you feel like are going to be able to face that backlash and win? And do you think we're going to see more of that as time goes on? You know what I mean?
Ooh.
Like I feel as though any state that I don't know if it's just me, but if I have a governor who's saying like we're going to ban the vaccine mandates, you can get it if you want to, but you don't have to. I feel like, oh, that's a guy who genuinely cares about my freedom. You know, believe it or not, if you want the vaccine, whatever, just get it and go on. We have enough data now to where people are paying attention. It's like, okay, you know, you can make informed decisions, and whatever your decision is, it's fine. Like these people are going against it. Do you think that these people are going to be voted back into office? Like, do you think that like, you know, the media and the government's going to scare people out of that?
I think it's very possible because it's we the people, not we the government.
True.
But but
Great quote.
also the gov but also the government can supply enough money to get somebody voted out.
Hmm.
We've seen that with Biden, we've seen that with Newsom getting reelected.
Yes.
We've seen that with a lot of dirty officials getting reelected out
Hmm.
of nowhere with hardly any vote. So it's it's going to be a matter of who's going to be able to stand up against who. And is it going to be the people and they're going to be honest about the people voting,
Hmm.
or are they going to be bought back in? And if they get bought back in, who, who's it going to affect? You know, I honestly give them a round of applause because I know of two states that are doing with Texas and Florida.
Hmm.
And I was like, okay, I want to move to Florida. Oh, maybe I want to move to Texas. No, you know, I want to move one of those two places. Oh, in Montana. And hearing them do that, I would vote for them in a heartbeat because that's just showing you exactly who they are for. And that is for you, that is for myself, that is for our neighbor, not for their own selfish needs to put money in their pocket. But then again, like I said, the government could twist that anytime and make it how they want it. And that's unfortunate. It's very unfortunate.
Very much so. I couldn't agree with you more there. It's something to where there's the freedom of it, and then there's, and like I said earlier, the freedom and the good of society, and freedom can disregard and trample the good of society, um, making it so that way there's a really tough balance that's going to be able to be struck. Um, I'm just going through news articles looking for other examples of that, and I know in Florida there was an issue with actually no, sorry, it's not Florida. I read that really wrong. Wisconsin. I don't know how I could get those two messed up. But in Wisconsin, a it's because it was an ad like Travel Florida, and I just saw that. In Wisconsin, a parent is suing the school district she lives in because her child got COVID-19 from their school system. Now, if you have governments that are going to be saying, no, we're not going to, like, mandates are not lawful, you don't have to follow these mandates, do you think there's going to be a lot of legal blowback from parents of school systems, from workers going to work, from people even going into an establishment and someone's coughing at the front desk? And if that person gets COVID, there's going to be a lot of legal action, legal trouble. Do you think that these, like, I completely agree and I support the we're not mandating everything, get it if you want it. But do you think that these mandates in those respects are going to be good if people get sue happy, even
I
if for a
mean,
temporary basis?
what is it going to do even if you're getting vaccinated and it doesn't protect you 100%?
Hmm.
So you don't know if your child got COVID from school. You could have gave your
Hmm.
child COVID from having your own vaccine.
Yeah.
You're going to go sue the school. So let's just re-follow our steps here real quick. So mommy got the vaccine, honey. Oh, you got COVID at school. How do you know? How do you know it didn't come from the grocery store? How do you know it didn't come from across the street? How do you know it didn't come from them playing out in a park? That
Mm,
is a very sticky situation. And for like making the kids wear masks, I'm against that. I am strongly against the kids wearing masks because I know how hard it is for me to breathe. And so I can only imagine what it's going to be like for a child to have to sit there for what, 6 hours, 7 hours a day and only get to pull their mask off to eat lunch.
mm-hmm. Especially for a
So,
kid.
so parents need to consider that. The kids are breathing in their own carbon monoxide. And once you let it out, you're breathing it back in. An adult, you can handle it, whatever. But if you're going to go as far as wanting to, because you think that's where your child got it from, you really need to reevaluate because you can get it from many different places. And honestly, like we said earlier too, we are not underplaying the fact that COVID is real. We are not underplaying that by any means. So please don't think that. But what we are saying, what I'm saying, I don't know about Drew, but what I'm saying is I think we're more worried and scared because that's what the government wants, that's what the news wants, and that's what everybody's playing into. And so anybody will sue anything for or sue anybody for anything nowadays. But I have seen it. I have already started seeing stuff coming up in school districts. Well, they don't wear masks. If my kid gets sick, I'm suing. I'm suing. I'm suing. For what?
Yeah,
For
for
what?
what? That's
I think
because
we
they didn't
actually have
follow the mandates, you know what I mean? Like I
uh-huh.
think like they're suing because they didn't follow like the mandates that were put in place to where now their negligence got someone I love sick. I think is like that's where they're coming from with that.
Absolutely.
Mm,
And during those negligent times, I mean,
mhm,
so uh, Dan NC and I have talked about this a lot too. You can go to a grocery store, you can go to fast food, you could go to the gas station, you could go anywhere that had anything, that was considered essential. You couldn't get COVID in those spots, but God forbid you go to church. God
yeah.
forbid that you go to church around other people because you
Mhm.
guys were all going to get it and y'all were going to die. Is how they looked at
So
it.
yeah, the reasoning behind that, and like I do agree with you that was ridiculous. They were banning church services, and like the government was coming in to lean on those. Is that the people who are in charge don't really think that church and like religious ceremonies are like essential, you know what I mean? Because
Yes,
when they have to look at it from an atheist perspective because of the diversity of religion, they can't admit one is right over the other. So they're going to
absolutely.
see, okay, what do people need to do? They need to get food. They need to go to work. They need to get gas for their car. But then, like, oh, religion, do they need to do that? It's like, yes, people do need to do that. It's spiritual health. Like, whatever you believe, it's good to get out there and get in touch with what gets you going. But then you can argue, well, what about physical health in the gym? The gym should be open too, but those are unnecessary. Even like a lot of things are more necessary than we give them credit for.
Oh, absolutely. And but those are all your safe places. And don't forget, you could touch a
Hmm.
doorknob and get COVID. What if your mailman just touched your doorknob and and then you wipe your face because you didn't have time to wash your hands or something and you get COVID from the mailman touching your door. Oh, Drew. Um, okay, you just seen it. You just seen it. Dan jumping. Dan, are you there? He's the one that will rip into this, and he's the one
Oh
that
yeah.
really knows. I'm going to tell you this. I've learned a lot from Dan, If it wasn't for Dan, my political views probably still would have been back and forth,
Yeah.
where I'm like, oh, well, I feel this way. And we wouldn't be having
Yeah.
this conversation because I'd be getting beefed up and arguing with you.
Yeah,
Listen,
beautiful.
listen. The only way
there
this
he
ends,
is.
the only way this ends is when the government fears the people and we force fear upon them and stop obeying and sitting back like weak ass pieces of shit. That's the problem. They talk about mandates. You know what mandates aren't? Law. There is not one law against or for any of this bullshit. And until people start realizing this and resisting and fighting back like the rest of the world is doing, like actual heroes, while we sit here like cowardly little bitches, nothing will change. Mass civil disobedience is needed on every single level. Every single level. They took away your voice. They took away your connection and associate with people. Got to stay away from people. You can't talk to people. You can't gather with people. You can't do this. They took it all away. And childish, weak-minded sheep allowed it to happen. When you sacrifice your liberty for safety, you deserve neither. That is essential.
Mm-hmm.
Fuck their atheist point of view. Fuck any point of view. They violated the Constitution. They violated every single day. And we only have ourselves to blame. Only ourselves. We allowed this to happen. It's time to fight back. And until that happens, no change will come. And you were talking about Florida and talking about Texas. Believe me, they're good at face value. They're still half fucked up too because they play politics. Okay? Nothing is as good as what it actually seems. You know when things change is when we make them fear us. Until that happens, there will be no diversion from this bullshit. We are pawns in a political game. They are taking away everything and then giving you back what they think you could have. Well, they'll give you little drips and little this and little that. It's pathetic. And we sit here and we share videos every weekend of the rest of the world, millions of people in the streets and fighting against the cops and the government and actually winning, actually getting their governments to overturn their mandates and lockdowns. They don't talk about that, do they? Norway, Sweden, these governments are actually overturning shit because they're afraid of the people. And here we are, the nation built on resistance against tyranny, right? And what have we become? What have we become? We are the bitches of the one world order. We are the bitches of the globalist. We are a joke. They went after every nation state with liberty at its heart, or the spirit of libertad, veritas. They went after us the hardest, and we only have ourselves to blame. When people were saying, it's okay to stay locked down, we'll get our rights back, we'll get this back, it's okay to do this, it's only for a few days, it's only for a few weeks, it's only for a few months, it's only for a few years, it's only for a few decades, it's only for fucking do the world a favor and kill yourself because you're dragging down the rest of us that are actually brave enough to fucking resist. That's the thing. That's the thing. And people are afraid of fucking even speaking out against this shit. I said it before. I haven't been on the radio in a very long time, and I'll say it again. I am happy, and I'm putting this out there to the Black Lives Matter groups that are out there having protests against the mandates and against the vaccines. I will happily stand side by side with you, and I will lock arms with you like I did on January 6th in front of our nation's capital. Just like that day, I will lock arms with you again. And it's time for all of us to come together and put the fear of God into these tyrannical pieces of shit. No talking, no discussion, no, I wonder what if it could be this. We could vote this way in 2022, in 2024. It doesn't end until we end it. Until that day comes, it's worthless.
Mm-hmm. Yep. The speech and action are two different things, and action always does speak louder than words, and we'll definitely get the point across more. It doesn't have to be a violent action. Looking over in her comments, Blocky types an awesome comment. We can only blame ourselves. No one can rule us if we don't obey. There's a lot that can get done through civil disobedience, and when we civilly disobey and they lose their temper, we can see who they really are. And when they lash out in violence, then it's look at them. Then it can be used as an us and them where they the government, the real people who are antagonizing a lot of us, are the ones that we can go after and make it so that way we can live a better life, a better pre-COVID life, you know?
Listen, to every pilot of Southwest Airlines, keep doing what you're doing. To Delta, who the CEO
Absolutely.
came out and overturned the mandate, overturned the invisible law, not abiding by government's suggestion to the Department of Labor. Beautiful. Beautiful. Good for them. Every truck driver, stop running. Every trains, buses, truck drivers, unions are coming out. Police unions are coming out. Stop working. Shut this country down in a whole different way and let them feel the pain. We've already endured pain. We've already endured loss. We've already endured going without. It's time for us to shut it down and actually control it.
Absolutely. We have more power than we realize, especially together in numbers. There's a comedy special I watched a long time ago. I think it's Chris Titus. No, it was John Titus. Was it John Titus or Chris Titus? I haven't watched it since middle school, but the main point was, if all of us just stopped going to work, the government would be at their knees. If all of us just stopped complying, they would have to listen to us. We'd be on a stage to where they can't do anything. If every teacher didn't go to school, if every mailman didn't show up at the post office, if every retail worker, every security worker, every worker at every level just stopped going in, everyone in corporate, everyone everywhere just stopped going in, the top dogs on top will have to stop and listen to us. And they will be at our complete mercy, or we will do a countrywide strike until everything collapses. And when it all collapses, they get collapsed as well.
Exactly. That's the truth. And why do you think, it's funny that you bring that up. Why do you think they're going after comedy? Why do you think they're going after all these different, any aspect of any type of disobedience or anybody that doesn't go along with the narrative they're going after? There's a reason for that. There's a reason for all of this. They don't want anybody to speak freely. They want everybody to toe the line, the media narrative. That's all they want. That's all they need. And we continue to give it to them. I'm sick to death of the bullshit and the weakness and the feebleness of fucking people. My God. This is a joke. This is the biggest joke. This is the biggest lie and the simplest hoax perpetrated among free people nationwide, worldwide. What we're seeing is laughable, but it's true, right? And why? Why? We did it to ourselves.
Yeah, we really are, like, we're the ones that can decide our destiny. As much as the government wants to tell us that we can't, as much as big business owners, as much as corporations, as much as anyone above you wants to tell you you can't run your own destiny, you can't decide for yourself, you have to think of this or that or the third. Remember that we as individuals have more power than we think when we band together with other individuals. And I know that sounds a little contradictory because it's going from individual to group. But if everyone is individuals civilly disobeyed, do you know the frustration, the anger, the panic, the fear, the money lost, everything that it would crumble their society to the point where they would have to say, what do you want? We'll give it to you. Go back to doing work, please. And we can take over at that point. We can remind them that we are a lot more people than them, number one. There's a lot more of us than there are of them. And we can remind them that we hold a very, very significant amount of power.
Absolutely. And that's what people are forgetting. People
Mhm.
are so scared. Oh, well, what's going to happen? You go out in public, oh, we can get the COVID, or we can get hurt because of this, that, and another thing.
Mhm.
The unity from 9/12/2001 is what we need right now against this government. The unity where we all stood together. There wasn't a race, there wasn't a religion, there wasn't any special sex, anything that was standing in the way of standing together. And like Dan has said before, we have gotten so weak, and we are scared to stand up for what we believe in now. We're scared because we don't people get too offended. I'll sue you because you offended me. Oh, you said that? Oh, I'm offended. Wha- How are we
Mhm.
supposed to live in a country where people keep getting offended? How are we supposed to stand together with people if people getting offended over every little thing that we say when we're supposed to be strong? We are supposed to be there. I posted that picture. I actually made that picture a few months ago of saying, United we stand, divided we fall for your show tonight. It's kind of weird that we're talking about that now because the division, people want to be more divided culture. Trying to cancel Clint Eastwood for Pete's sake from something that he said in the 70s.
I was gonna say, isn't he
I'm
like
tr-
90? Like,
yeah, and I'm trying to cancel all these idiots that are left loose,
mhm.
okay? So I'm not winning here either. So now why can't we take that focus, what it takes to cancel culture and cancel the government? Stand together, cancel the government, work together. Because, like you said, you close everything down, they're going to be begging you to come back because they're not going to get any money. You're not going to have any taxes to give them.
That's right.
And they're going to be, what's going to happen? What's going to happen to us now? Well,
They're
we need
gonna,
them
yeah,
back. We need them back. Oh, let's go back to China, you know? So let's get
yeah.
that
But
currency
then
down a lot more.
I was gonna say, yeah, that's not gonna help their situation at all because China wants a
Hmm.
collapse over here.
Yep.
Because I mean, they're not in the time being because of mutually assured destruction, but they do want the U.S. as weak as it can, so that way, if another consumer can break this mutually assured destruction cycle, China wants to win that war.
They come
China
in,
wants the
they
U.S.
attack.
to not. Yeah, the China wants the U.S. to be as docile, as low-minded, as just consume, consume, consume as possible. So that way, it can bolster up Chinese economy, and then when China is able to break this MAD, then it's coming for the throat. They want us to be fat and lazy to be an easy target at the end of it, and we're doing it to ourselves. Our government's abusing it as it comes, and then when it comes, it'll be a house of cards that collapse everybody.
Absolutely. And Dan Dan has always talked about things along that line too,
Mhm.
and we've talked about it on Truly Uncensored. Dan, do you remember how long it was that we were discussing something along this topic? Wasn't it a couple weeks ago, or our last show together, that we were discussing something like this?
It was over a month ago.
Okay, so it was about, yeah, over a month ago. We were discussing the exact same thing, and just people will never ever realize if they don't start seeing it for themselves what's going on. I think a lot of people do see this, so they're just scared. I okay. I'm gonna sound so stupid right now, and I'm sorry, guys. Hello. I
Hello?
just heard that. I was like, what was that? So I'm gonna sound really stupid here, but it took me a minute to figure out the difference between being woke and awake. It
Hmm.
took me a while to
It's
figure
a difference
that
that
out,
not a
or
lot of people
awaken.
know.
And being woke is cancel your culture.
Hmm.
Oh, we're woke to what's going on. Not woke. You need to be
Yeah.
awake. Those eyes need to be
Hmm.
open. Those eyes need to be alert. Ears need to be open and alert. You have to know what's going to be awake. You have to be fully awake. To be woke, you're just waking up. And that's good because you're still groggy. It's time that
Yeah.
America their act together and we start moving forward. Like Dan said, we're the laughing stock. It's embarrassing right now. It is super
Mhm.
embarrassing what's on. Not many countries laugh at their president. We laugh at him today.
Yeah.
And his little vice president,
Yeah.
and
When they give
Pelosi.
us enough to laugh, a lot, when they give us such good comedy.
Oh, they give us comedy because I tell you one thing, and Dan can vouch for this. Truly answered will that comedy how stupid Joe Biden could be. I
Hmm.
promise you. We will find that content and we will post it. And we will
A
have fun with it.
commie a commie wannabe dictator, senile prick, and a fucking degenerate, dejected whore. That's who's in charge of our country and the powers behind them. Okay, the bitch who couldn't even, get her fellow adulterer to vote for her and came out and campaigned against her. All right,
Ouch.
these are the type of people that we have in power right now. All right, it's disgusting.
Mhm.
It is fucking disgusting. You got to
It's-
watch out with
Was
me.
it?
I've been off the radio for a very long time. Okay.
I was gonna say, Dan, you're really raw tonight, man. You're coming for the throat.
Well,
He's swinging.
I'm coming to Massachusetts Tuesday night. I'm going to be there until Friday, and I'll be doing my Politishock actually from the hotel in Mass, and it's going to be
Ooh.
the first show in a very long time. And I'm hoping we're going to do
Wait.
our Truly show on Wednesday, right?
We are
Yeah.
we are set up.
So, yeah. So I have a lot to let out, Drew. So you got to watch out. I'm fired up.
Him when
Nice.
he
I'm
comes in to see you.
excited. hmm That's gonna be fun. I'm excited for that.
Yeah.
Wasn't Camilla Harris like criticized heavily on the campaign trail for her like what was it like I don't want to get it wrong. Wasn't it something along the lines of like she had to do a favor in order to get to where she is politically?
Uh-huh.
She
And
slept
that
with a
became a
married
whole
mayor.
thing. Yeah,
Yeah.
and like Tulsi Gabbard brought it up at one point.
That's why
Uh-huh.
she dropped out before the first
Mhm.
vote was ever cast. And she also kept African Americans in jail longer to use as free labor, so indentured servitude, while she was
Yes.
Attorney General. So what a great woman,
Laughed
I
about
will
it.
not.
when,
I will not use the language that I use on our show.
Mm.
The language that we use on Truly Uncensored, there's a reason why it's uncensored.
Yeah.
But she did a lot of dirty things to get to where she's at, and be surprised if her and Joe Biden were friends at one time. We'll just call them best friends, the best pal friends. It would surprise me with the that she has done to get to where she is.
That just makes me wonder. I got to ask anybody here, did Bill Clinton die yet? Because I want to.
I heard about
the
that.
party.
I wonder what's happening with that.
Sepsis. I guess he wanted to talk about his wife.
Yeah,
So
I was gonna say, like, yeah, wasn't it? It was sepsis, right?
yeah.
Okay, so what happened? I think I missed something here.
So Bill Clinton's in the hospital right now for sepsis.
Uh-huh.
At how old is Bill Clinton?
Like 77?
76 or 70,
76?
something like that.
So not as old as our current president.
Close.
Where's Joe Biden? So 70. He's 75. He's 78. Okay, so they're very close.
Uh-huh.
Actually, no. Yeah, our president is older than Bill Clinton.
Yes.
So yeah, Bill Clinton's in the hospital for sepsis. I find it really funny that they didn't just straight up say it was COVID.
They will.
That'd be another. Yeah, it's going to become COVID because
Everything becomes
guys, if you eat your own shit, you'll get COVID. Don't do that, and then everyone's going to eat their shit in protest because
Exactly.
the media knows what kind of contrarian like hold they have over us. You know what I mean? It's ugh.
COVID.
It's gonna get crazy. It's nuts. I wonder like what this is gonna. They're probably going. I haven't seen Hillary Clinton in a while. Has she given like a speech or a press?
That wandering
release on
ogre
this?
looking bitch cunt. She's been
Mhm.
around. She reared her ugly, disgusting head recently doing some interviews. Her friggin' disgusting, bloated self. So yeah.
Oh, I didn't see that.
Yeah,
I
sorry.
know that.
By the way, real quick, I gotta make a PSA. Truly,
Mhm.
sorry.
What's up?
Okay, the views reflected do not reflect that of the political zoo or anybody on here. Just me, Dan, and I own the network, so I get to be a dick on any time I want. So apologies to all current people on live, but I'm all about taking that bad karma because when bad people are sick and when they die, I'm gonna party like a motherfucker.
Yeah.
Welcome to VOP.
Yeah. Well, VOP. Yeah, Bill Clinton. Yeah, he's in the hospital for that.
Hey,
I don't know where to
you're
go
over
from
the
there. I'm
word.
like genuinely like.
That's why you're never going to invite me to be on your show the entire 3 hours.
That's
Listen, you're going to have to do that. Like, it'll have to be like a calm down episode after I do like a 6 hour Politishock. And then I just want to actually talk for about 5 hours and I'll be good. But otherwise, yeah, you got to watch out with me. Okay. So
I'm gonna make a banner for Truly Uncensored that says "Beware, Dan Smirglio running loose,
hey,
running loose in the building.
Like one of those
listen,
dog signs.
had to take
Beware of
had to,
Dan."
had to take a couple L's this week, right? But there's also a couple big fucking W's. So everybody check out the new website, by the way. VOPUSAradio.com if you haven't done so already. It is fucking amazing. And see where we're going and where the future is bringing us. So if you haven't done it, do it. It's worth it.
That's right. Always, yeah, having our own website is really good. It's a really well polished, well done website. I highly recommend it. Yeah.
It is.
Absolutely beautiful. I love
Shout
it.
out to Ace and Jackie for putting that magic together. Shout out to Truly for turning everything and actually doing something that I haven't touched in a very long time. But now it's like all your shows are actually podcast on all 9,000 of our freaking platforms. Finally, thanks to Truly putting the work in and editing and getting it all posted and shit. So that's a wonderful thing. So we got a lot of good shit coming. But I promise, for those who don't know, we're a very diverse grouping of people and we all have a lot of different opinions, but I am the devil. I am bad. I better find a hotel room that's like not around anybody this week because I think the first 2 hours of the show is just going to be me screaming. And I have so much pent up frustration and pent up anger. It's getting bad. It's getting bad. Well, kudos to you both for having an actual civilized conversation for all this time. It's nice. Sorry, man.
Of course, man. That's what I try to do. You know what I mean? I mean, as much as I'd love it if we screamed at each other like apes.
Don't worry. I take care of that for everybody.
Yeah. Don't worry. Yeah. I don't fully own this recording studio, so I can't be screaming my lungs out right now, but as soon as I do.
That's right. Hey, we got to get your mug on the website, man. You got to have your show graphic up there, by the way.
I'm working on a show graphic. I was actually going to talk to Truly after tonight about getting the updated graphic because our current graphic's outdated and I tried to make a new one and it looked awful. I don't know if you've ever seen that meme with graphic design is my passion and it's like a bunch of different styles that clash with each other. That's essentially like what it looked like. So I was thinking of commissioning an artist for it, but if Truly wants to take care of it and I've seen her work, I would definitely love a logo through her. So
yes,
there you go.
I can definitely hook you up. Definitely. I've done quite a few for Dan too, and I've done quite a few for VOP. So I have a lot of fun doing it.
Nice.
We'll definitely get you hooked up, and I'm wide awake,
Sweet.
so I can have that done for you tonight.
Awesome. Yeah, let's get some merch out there and do that. So yeah, that'd be awesome.
You are correct. The more truth you speak, the crazier you appear. Of course. Because as was done by the CIA in the 1950s with the big three media networks, right? That was Operation Mockingbird. If people were too close to the truth, call them conspiracy theorists. That way we devalue them and demean them and belittle them and make people think less of them and not actually look into what they're talking about or actually address the content of their speech.
Yep. Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yep. I agree 100% with that.
Anyway. Sorry, all.
I hope you have some of this.
No, don't be sorry, Dan.
Wednesday.
Spiced it up, my man. I'm glad when you come on by. Brings views.
my late night appearances, huh? I'm always here. I'm always lurking. I'm like the large shadow. I'm always around somewhere.
You better be bringing some of this rage with you on Wednesday. That's all I'm saying. Because we've got a lot to discuss on Wednesday, and we're going to have a really, really awesome show on Wednesday.
Yeah. Don't you worry.
Because we're going to do that thing that we planned that I've already talked to you about. We got something special for you guys. Just wait.
Ooh.
I need something.
You heard it here. If you're a fan of all the VOP shows, there's going to be some new stuff happening over there on Politishock Wednesday night.
Truly
No,
Uncensored.
Truly
Actually, on
Uncensored.
Oh, my
Wednesday.
bad. It's Truly
Yeah.
Uncensored. Wrong show.
It's okay.
Too many shows, man. I'm losing track.
And I can't promise the Democrats are going to like us afterwards.
What percentage of people are like us? More than you would think. I think it's more than 33%. Actually,
it's more. Yeah, it's more than you think. It's because people know the backlash of speaking out. A lot of the people keep it to themselves, internalize it, and keep it to their own, like to keep it to their chest. They're not going to be outspoken like us about it. But there's a lot more people than you think that are on the side of caution, on the side of we don't want this vaccine, the side of we need to be able to stand up against our government when it comes down to it. There's a lot more people than you think, but because of stuff like Operation Mockingbird, like Dan brought up, people aren't going to want to do that, and it's gonna. But you'd be surprised, is what I'm trying to say.
You know what we're gonna do?
I probably would be.
You know what we're gonna do? I'm gonna call this right now. I'm gonna say about 2 weeks time. 2 weeks time. We gotta do something that we haven't done, and I've spoken about many times and never actually got around to it. We're gonna have a marathon style set of recordings or live shows in a day, or day / evening, night, whatever it is. We're gonna do like 6 or 8 hours.
You need
And
to do
we're
that
gonna
like
go-
on a Tuesday, Wednesday, so NC can join up.
We'll figure out a good day to do it in good time frame, but we're gonna do it. We're gonna have open phone lines, and we're gonna invite people
Nice.
to call in, speak, be anonymous, say your name. I don't care. We're gonna actually just open it up. We haven't done that in a very long time, and I used to love doing that. Hate us, love us, agree, disagree, whatever. We're gonna open it up because I think there needs to be more of that. There needs to be more friggin' like symposiums for people to actually speak truth and have those engagements loud and proud without fear of being censored. So we're gonna do it. Fuck it.
Absolutely.
Absolutely, yeah, exactly. Dan, you got to show me how to do that. It's been something I've been wanting to do on this show for a while now, is have open phone lines.
Oh, we'll make it happen. Don't worry.
Can we can't do 8x8 on here. I think usually 8x8 is what we use to take the phone calls. I think we have to go a different route.
I have 3 other routes. Don't worry.
Oh,
We'll be
okay.
good.
We'll be good.
Nice.
Mm-hmm. We're good. We actually have the ability to take up to 200 callers a show. That's the funny part. I know, because I pay that bill every month. And we'll start using it. And now that our
Thank
website
you, Dan.
that's just for that. That has never been used in 9 months, but yes. But we have the ability, and we're going to do it. And also with the new website being much more engaging, and actually having stuff for people to do and actually engage and be a part of, and they could join forums and chats and shit like that on the actual news site and everything else. Yeah, we have the system in place, we have the structure in place, and we're just gonna light it up. So it's gonna be fun. It's time. They gave us a bit of a loss this week, 24 hours ago, because of 6 months of inconsistencies, but we have a chance to a fresh start, which is good because it culminates right around the 1-year anniversary of the Voice of the People USA Radio Network, which nobody really talks about because I haven't made it exactly public knowledge, but we are at that point of 1 year. And I figure it like this: we have a new target date of May, so that's fine. They want change, they want something bigger, brighter, fucking more ballsy. We're gonna give it to them. We're gonna give it to them in many different ways, and I don't care. Now that we have the shit going in place, we got the apps, we got everything else coming online, we got the freaking website. I love the fucking website. We're just gonna freaking go balls deep. I do not care. We are going to light shit up in a big way because that's what needs to happen. And what are they gonna do? Censor us? It's our own shit. We own our own shit. All right. Craps can censor us all day. We don't need craps. So at the end of the day, we created an actual infrastructure where we are our own legitimate network. So you know what? Fuck it. It's time to get even more hard pressing and more engaging. And I think it's going to really benefit us to really open up those lines and let more people actually engage in what we do and actually call in and be a part of. And it's always fun. You always get the assholes, but sometimes you get intelligent assholes. Then you just get assholes. Then you get smart people. You never know. So it'll be fun and it's worth it, and we need it. That's it.
Can I do just one more quick shameless plug for you, Dan? One thing that you missed while we're doing this. You guys can now download the VOP network on your Android phone.
Yeah.
So you guys are on the go. If you guys are on the go, you guys want to stick your phone in the car, listen to it, you guys can tune into VOP network now on Android. Apple, I believe, is coming soon. Yes. So get ready, guys, because this is going to get wild. it's going to get real wild here at the VOP, and that's going to be pretty exciting.
We're gonna close that door very soon, and we're gonna have our Roku, we're gonna have a Fire TV, we're gonna have all our crap, we're gonna be all over there, and we'll have the Apple side of things done. And the apps, like I said, the apps, they look basic as shit, but they work easy. But believe me, the apps will be refreshed and will look like our website soon enough. So don't worry.
We gotta start somewhere, man. I say that with all of my projects. I have like a new Discord, I have a new Patreon. I tell people, hey, it's a work in progress. We're going as we're going, you know. We'll get there. We'll get big. Wait, just kick my camera. We'll get big.
Nope, you're right. You are right. We'll make it happen. So yeah, a lot of good shit coming. And again, sometimes you gotta, with the losses comes victory. That's how I look at it. I don't consider a loss an actual fucking loss. I consider it a chance to fight back harder and come back stronger. And that's fine. And that's where we're at. And just so people are wondering, and whoever the hell is listening in the middle of the night, I have no idea, but I know there's at least 35,000 of you. They're the numbers that I could see. So nice. Thank you for listening live worldwide to the Political Zoo. A very consistent show every fucking week. And Drew, am I allowed to call you Drew?
Yeah, no, I'm known as Drew.
Okay,
yeah,
good.
No, I'm known as Drew.
I never know if I'm bad with that. You got to watch out sometimes.
Don't call me my last name, but like Drew's fine.
That's fine. Because I'm always the schmuck that accidentally says anyway. But yeah, we were supposed to do our SiriusXM demo show in November in New York, and we basically got told, hey, we don't have the final step was 6 months of consistent daily programming and everything else. And there was a couple other little call outs they made. And it wasn't a fuck you. It was, you know what? Take November, start it then, run 6 months, come in May, come to New York, do your demo shows, get the contract. I'm like, all right, well, you know what? At least it's not a big fuck you, but it hurts my feelings personally. And I was upset. I was pissed off. I was angry. You know, again, I could point the finger towards myself as well, because I missed a lot of shows because of work, because of sickness, because of whatever the case may be. But at the same time, you know what? Fuck it. You know what? It is what it is, and that's fine. There's the opportunity is still there to continue to expand this freaking dream. This solo podcast that started in 2009 that now is his own network, and that's cool. That's fine. You know, we're getting over 3.6 million listens a month. I'm proud of that shit, and we're only going to increase with what we got going on. So you know what? That's cool. And when you give me a challenge like that, we're going to freaking rise above it, and we're going to freaking crush it. So that's what we will do. And it'll be fun as shit. We're going to offend a lot more people, and that's okay too. So there you go. Now people know. So I don't like coming out there and saying shit. And I don't like coming out and making promises for things and saying this is going to happen, then it doesn't happen, because I feel like an asshole. But that's kind of what life is when you run an independent network. And, you know, you don't have big money sponsors and, you know, all that other shit. So sometimes you got to have the setbacks, but that's okay. There's my long PSA done.
Thanks, Dan. Yeah, it is what it is. We're working hard. We're getting there. You know, we're putting our content forward. So I always love hearing what people have to say in the comments. I love like honest criticisms, trying to get people to talk and do everything they got to do, you know, to enjoy the show and be engaged. Yeah, that's what I'm all about. You Sirius XM deal? Like, really?
Yeah. We had a 2 days worth of demo shows set up. Well, we were going to finalize it, and then unfortunately we didn't have that final criteria to make the bigwigs happy. And again, you know what? It's fine, because with the SiriusXM opportunity, one of the deals I made going in, even to the negotiation stage of getting selected, you know, they found us. It's not like I went begging to anybody, say, hey, look at us. We want to be fucking millionaire superstars. Like, this is what we do. This is what we talk about. We're going to piss you off. We're going to offend. We're going to say shit that's shocking. We're going to say shit that's offensive. And I don't give a flying fuck if you like it or not, because it needs to be said. That's what free speech is, right? So, and they're cool with that. So one of the concessions that had to be made on their end was, you know, we get this deal, which we will get this deal. We're not going to sign away our rights. We're not going to sign away property. We're not going to sign away anything to them. And of course, why are they interested in us in reality? And I hope Terry and the others actually get to hear this. I know why, because you know this shit is controversial, and you know it'll breed a lot of resentment. You know it'll breed a lot of interesting ears, a lot of hate, and then also fans. And you could profit off that. That's fine, as long as you don't freaking silence us. I'm good with it. So that was a concession made, and it's still on par with everything that's going on. So it's got to wait a little bit longer now, but that's okay. It's okay.
Good things come to those who wait. That's why
That's
I'm
right.
waiting to get out of this pandemic, man.
Absolutely.
It's gonna happen eventually.
Damn
I'm gonna
straight.
keep waiting.
my ebook titled "How to Become a Millionaire on Apps." Yeah, sorry, I was reading the comment there.
I saw that. That was a good one.
I
Right?
like that. I like that.
Lucky's on a
You
roll
mean
with comments
scandemic.
tonight.
I like that.
Yeah.
Scamdemic. That's exactly what it is.
The quickest
You
way to
are
become a
Blocky.
millionaire on Haps is by leaving Haps. That's okay though. That's okay. But yeah. So and also on December 10th, for those who know what it is, we will officially have our own Voice of the People USA Radio Network channel on Band.video. So Band.video is finally going to accept and have VOP represented on its website. And for those who don't know, Band.video, of course, is run by the one and the only Infowars.com and Alex Jones and Rob Dew. So you know what? That's pretty badass. So I'm proud of
That's
that.
pretty badass.
Well,
That's
I didn't
awesome.
know about that. That's pretty sick. I like that.
Like I said, there's been some wins and the losses.
Well, I
So-
haven't heard. I'm just now catching up. I like it.
Yeah, nobody's really heard from me.
I
That's
know
okay.
you've been. Normally, I would hear from you at least once a week. I haven't heard from. This is the first time I've actually talked to Dan today in what, 2 weeks?
Not longer.
So
I was gonna say, yeah, last time I heard from Dan was 2 weeks ago. He came on the show for a little bit.
Yeah. When you had Ace and Jackie on. Yep.
Yes.
That's what I do. I just make these random appearances, and this is my talk therapy. And I'm very bad about keeping things, in the back end. I just kind of put it all out there and say, fuck it. Never accuse me of being dishonest.
I think we need to have a 3-hour truly uncensored show on Wednesday. That's what I think.
I could go for
Ooh.
longer.
Because I
So-
know that TWRP is not working Wednesday, so they're going to be working Tuesdays and Thursdays this next week. So, Dan, I think we can fit in a 3-hour show so you can get some of that energy out.
Hey, I'll be in one of my most favorite places, actually, which is kind of strange considering it's still kind of libtardedville. But I do love me some
Libtarded.
Massachusetts. I do.
Yeah,
I do.
Tell me about it.
Yeah, I actually miss seeing my normal people. I'm so sick to fucking death of going to Florida every goddamn week. So
Oh,
yeah,
poor
it's-
you. Nice weather.
No, I hate that shit. I'm fat.
Nice
I'm pale. I
people.
want it cold.
Oh.
No, fuck Florida. Listen.
Same here, man. Same
Yeah.
here. I am.
No,
I want like cold. I look like paper. You should see me when I'm in here, like testing the lights. I have the lights on the warm setting at their like dimmest setting, so I turn it bright. I look like I'm Edward Cullen from the first Twilight, with like the sparkles and like the bright. Like I blow out my camera. Like I totally get you.
That's why I still
Surprise.
don't show my face until I have to. So yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
whatever.
Hey, but Drew,
Dan
the
acts
poor-
like he is totally white.
well, I'm an
Good
albino. Anyway, but
You are
yeah.
not.
Drew's actually had the displeasure of seeing me in person, so he can't
I know
escape
what
that.
Dan looks like. It's crazy.
I know.
So
He
is
has, like-
Paths for the Friendly Ghost.
Yeah. He's like. There's one time he came in and I said, "Oh my, did the milk truck like spill? Is he okay?"
Right? Pretty
He
bad.
must get really good lighting when we have to do FaceTime calls for VOP and we have to do those group chats because you don't look that way, Dan.
That's all smoke and mirrors. Okay, so you will see me go live when we do the Roku shit. And I'll be wearing a bag over my head.
Mm-hmm. That'd be cool.
Oh, we
like,
actually have to go live and do that?
Mm. Yeah,
You can do
it's all
like
good.
you can do like payday stuff, like get like a mask, like put it on.
Yes.
You know what payday is?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, I
It's
do.
like put the mask on. Yeah, I was playing Payday 2 last week. It's still a good game, man. I had so much fun.
That's some old school shit, man. Jesus, even
Oh,
I know
yeah.
that one. That shows you it's old school.
Yeah,
I
it is.
the last game I played, the last game I played was like SmackDown versus Raw 2010. Anyway,
Okay,
cool.
but
Nice.
no,
Good grief. Ugh.
but what? It's good
I'm
times.
telling Nancy. I'm telling him. That's it.
Well, regardless, I think I'm gonna do something really, really daring and original. I'm gonna wear a Guy Fawkes mask when I do my videos. You know, hasn't been done
Ooh,
before.
edgy.
Yes, and
Wow.
it's gonna be
In the year
Politishock.
2013, this is great.
Hey, it's gonna be Politishock with Dianon. So if you want to get the D, you listen to Dianon and Dantifa, and with my Guy
Dianon
Fawkes
and
mask,
Dantifa,
Yeah,
goodness.
it's gonna be
he's been
great.
going by Dantifa for a long time. I should
Never
make him a
know.
logo.
You never know where I'll appear. Either you're getting the D. Jesus
The D or the
Christ.
Dan. Ay,
That's
ay, ay.
right. That's right. I am very original. It's all
So
good.
don't. So make sure you guys turn into tune
Jesus.
into don't
Tune
Dan,
in.
tune in to Roku to watch Dan be Dan Tifa with the D. Oh God, I can't even say that with a straight face.
God. I don't know what's easier to laugh at. It's some of the shit Blocky's saying or the shit that Truly's trying to say. I don't know. Jesus.
See, as you go on with us longer, Drew, I sometimes get my words mixed up, especially if I'm tired.
Mhm.
And Dan will sit there and attack. I could just say one little wrong thing, and Dan is like in for the full-fledged attack, and he's like, game over.
I'm
And
a
I'm just
prick.
It's
like,
okay. I do that all the time. You could probably make a compilation of times on the show I've said a word that doesn't make sense and then say, no, excuse me. I meant this word. Excuse me. It happens to me all the time.
yeah,
Hey,
yeah,
listen, not for nothing, but I mean this sincerely. I want to give kudos to you both, though. And it was nice actually hearing Truly get to speak in long form because I think that's kind of missed. So good job, Truly. And
well,
Drew
thank you.
continues to be one that likes to get some good conversations out from people. He's got that low key, like freaking easy going type vibe, and he does his shit well. I'm proud of you, man.
Yes.
So
Thanks,
it's
Dan.
cool. No, fucking seriously, man. You roll with the changes, man. I'm impressed. I'm impressed. This is taking listen. This is from somebody who literally did my 3 to 5 to 6 hour shows and all this other bullshit all alone for many, many years, and it sucked. It sucked. It was easy to do because I never shut the fuck up. But honestly, I'm impressed when people find a way to keep on going, and you do good, and you actually get good interviews and good co-hosts out of this shit. So I'm proud of you, man. Proud of you both.
Thanks, man. I appreciate it.
Yes,
Yeah.
I've enjoyed working with you tonight. It's been a lot of fun. Normally I don't talk a lot, like Dan said, this is the most I've talked in a very long time on a show. So I've actually enjoyed being able to talk with you, and I like your professionalism with how you ask the questions because you're not like, okay, so what's your thought on this? And then but you go into depth with it and you really make sure that the person knows exactly what you're asking. And I really like that.
Thank you very much, Truly. I really appreciate that. I try to make sure that everyone is on the same page of thinking, and then they want to
Yes.
come out and fully express their opinion because I don't want anything left up to interpretation. I don't want anything to be misunderstood or misconstrued. Like I want full points to be out there, and I want everyone to kind of understand where everyone's coming from, so that way everyone can figure out where why they think a certain way. I feel like a big problem in our society right now is people look at other political ideologies and think, how could that idiot even consider thinking this way? Because there's different values and there's different things that get people there. So I try to show like, hey, this is why this person thinks that way, and get that kind of it's essentially watching the show like it's something that gets you conditioned to understand empathy, and then everyone has more empathy for
Absolutely.
watching my show, and I'm cool with that. Like I'm sick with that. So
Yes,
thank you.
absolutely.
Yeah,
It's
yeah, no,
it's been awesome. I've actually felt, because the guys, Dan and NC, I usually give it over to them because they I don't know I don't know how to describe you two. They have like a bromance and they're like on the
aw.
same page with everything. And so I like giving it over to them because I like listening to those two go at it for a while. And um that's a good thing, Dan, just so you know. I like listening to them go and talk about this because I learned more from them when I listened to them on the show. And now, like, I've listened to you on the show tonight and I've got to communicate with you. So I've learned a lot from you as well. And now, when Dan asks me something now, Dan, I can tell you what it is. Like, oh, hold on. Finstagram? Is that how you said it?
That's a
Instagram.
Finsta. It's a
Finsta.
Finsta.
Finsta. Yeah. A fake Instagram, to which we need for VOP. I
Yeah,
think
we
lost
need
Dan.
we need to have a Finsta for VOP. We got to be able to put our slutty Instagram pictures up on the same thing.
Oh,
It's gonna be
geez.
me in like a crop top, like at my station here.
Everybody check out the
Oh.
Political Zoo OnlyFans page, found exclusively.
And then we will
VOP
charge them,
swimsuit calendar.
we will charge $25 a view. So every time they view a new picture, they have to pay $25. So if you guys are down for that, we'll give you a
Mhm.
discount of 50 cents if you type in VOP USA Radio. $24.50.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, thank you so much for Truly and eventually Dan for stopping on the show tonight. I really appreciate my guest and my
Thank you.
surprise guest, especially being the wonderful Dan. You guys have any closing comments? Anything you'd like to say before we end the show for the night?
Dan, do you want to go first?
Ladies first.
Oh, thanks. I just really want to thank you again. I had a wonderful time tonight, and this was a lot of fun. I wouldn't mind doing this again. If you want to have me back again, if you
Sure
need a
thing.
co-host, hit me up and let me know.
Will
Learned a
do.
lot. And all of you out there in VOP USA Radio Land, thanks for tuning in. You guys are the best. And we wouldn't be able to do this without you guys every week. So thank you for that. Much love to you guys, and y'all have a fantastic night.
Nice. My closing words. Completely
even.
unoriginal.
Don't
No.
do it.
Nice.
Don't
No.
do it. Don't.
I'm going to keep it completely unoriginal and just say the answer to 1984 is 1776 and 17.6 worldwide. And lest we forget, I don't say it the safe way. It's funny. It is funny, and I enjoy it. But I just like to keep it simple. Fuck Joe Biden. Thank you.
Oh,
Always a
thank
pleasure.
God. Thank God.
Thank
I
you,
thought two other
Dan.
words were gonna
Thank
come out of
you
his mouth.
truly for coming on the show. That's been another episode of the Political Zoo, everyone. Just a reminder, I do have a Patreon now set up, patreon.com/Political Zoo. If you want to go over and throw even $1 over to support the channel, that is a huge amount of support. Over on Patreon, you can get access to our exclusive Discord, as well as a cabal of upcoming rewards for each tier. You're not going to want to miss it. Stick around and come on by. We really appreciate it. Make sure you check over the VOPUSARadio.com, our own website, so you can see what we're up to. Make sure you head over and download that app, and have a great night. Question everything. Think for yourself. Do your own research. And thanks for coming to the zoo. Till next week, everyone. Good night.
Night, guys.